From the Quantum Fiber Studio
This is Bump and Stacy.
on Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app and at seattlesports.com.
Now, here are your hosts, Michael Bumpus and Stacy Ross.
Here we go now. Curtis Rogers in for Michael Bumpus. Happy Friday, everyone. We are going to start with the Seattle Mariners coming off 2 consecutive series losses. Looking to get right. The problem, Curtis, they're heading to San Diego. You got to get right.
Not an easy team to beat.
Get right against a hot Padres team. I think they've won 6 of their last 10, but more importantly, they've got, 27 wins? I mean,
27 and 15.
27 and 15. A very, very good Padres team.
Got some good pitching.
Can they take this series? Maybe, but let's talk about some of the questions they have entering it, Curtis. You are looking immediately at this team and noticing what?
Well, this Mariners team right now, they're hurting.
Mm-hmm.
They have a lot of guys on the injured list and guys that are big-time contributors. I looked at this yesterday on Extra Innings, which great show, by the way. Check out the podcast, seattlesports.com.
7 to 9 p.m. on Mariners.
Yeah, I can understand why you might want to listen to the podcast because it's a little late for radio listening. But on last night's show, I looked at the Mariners opening day lineup and what it is right now. 4 position players plus your starting pitcher are currently on the injured list.
Oh, no.
Half of your opening day lineup essentially is hurt right now.
Can I ask you a question
Yes.
that Salk asked me this morning? And I think I literally made a mental note, I want to ask this to Curtis when we start the show. He said, do you think that the struggles we've seen, let's say, over the last 2 series at least, are a result of those injuries or something else?
I mean, it's going to be hard to ask this offense to continue to produce this way when there are so many, I would say, unproven bats in the lineup. You know, Ben Williamson, for as great as he has been defensively, he has started to really hit a wall in terms of his offensive production. Leody Taveras, I mean, he had a couple of big hits early on, but we haven't seen any sort of power out of him. You kind of wonder what his bat is going to look like over the course of, the next couple months while Luke Raley looks to get back. Rowdy Tellez has had some big home runs, but they've been pretty infrequent this season. It hasn't happened quite regularly the way you hope your first baseman would produce.
And your other first baseman isn't doing much of anything.
Exactly. Donovan Solano has an OPS that would make for a good on-base percentage.
That's what I said. I said, it would be a solid average.
Yeah, but the fact that it is the accumulation of his on-base plus his slug, that's not good. That's not good at all. So I think if the Mariners were at full strength, then there wouldn't be anywhere close to the kind of worry that I think a lot of people are kind of looking at, especially coming off of this homestand where the offense just did not produce in any of the 5 games. And now you're looking at a road trip that starts tonight against a really good Padres team where you're hoping to put that homestand behind you, but you have to come with it tonight because the Padres can beat anybody.
Yes. I know that part of the conversation we're going to be having about the Mariners all season long is, until some of these arms get back healthy, the good news is eventually they will. The good news is few injuries have felt season ending. I really thought Logan might need Tommy John. I thought that's where we were going with that injury. Likewise, I know that Ryan Bliss, his injury is essentially the season ending, obviously. Yeah. But, Luke Raley eventually will come back. I don't know what Robles'
I think he's getting reevaluated pretty soon.
Yeah. And then, obviously, George Kirby, Logan, Bryce will probably be the first of that trio back. You're getting a lot of guys back. But every game matters.
Right.
What did we say in spring training so much about this team, Curtis? That we were going to really challenge ourselves not to go, well, it's early, just wait. Because this team had missed the playoffs by collectively, 5-6 games?
Yeah, over the last 3 years.
Yeah. So I don't want to, in September, when this team is vying for first in the AL West, their first chance to win the division, go, oh, man, I really wish they would have gotten that one close game against the Padres.
Right. And, look, last year you had that 10-game lead. We all remember that. But what could you have done instead of what you did is when you have that 10-game lead, that's when you go and make your move. That's when you go and pounce and go out and get a big-time contributor. Maybe you go out and get Randy Arozarena then rather than wait
and as
until
a reminder, it was in early June.
Right, and maybe you go out and get him then rather than wait until after the division lead you had evaporated as quickly as it did. I get that it's May 16th and you don't see many big-time trades this time of season, but you also don't want to see what you have done over the season's first 42 games evaporate. Like, the Mariners have earned all of these wins that they have gotten. They have earned this division lead, and I think there have been portions of this first quarter of the season, Stacy, where we have looked at all the AL West has to offer, and I think we've all kind of said at times, like, yes, the Mariners at full strength are the best team in this division.
Yeah.
The problem is you're not anywhere close to full strength right now, and what can you do to sort of soften the blow that all these, in key pieces, important figures, all that they have gone through this season, like, what can you do right now to make sure they're staying afloat? I don't know if a trade is in the works. I don't know if there's anything coming down the barrel, but, like, you have got to absolutely learn from last season and say what we have done is fine and dandy, but we got to make sure that we fortify this thing and don't let these injuries really tank what could be a fun season.
There are a couple things we know, Curtis. First, we know from Justin Hollander, Mariners GM, who told us this earlier this week, that they're always thinking about the trade deadline.
Every day, starting in the offseason, we're already thinking about the trade deadline and what might be available at the trade deadline as a way to sort of balance what you're doing in the offseason versus what you might be able to do in season. And then once the season starts, like, we've already had conversations internally about what may be available, when it may be available. That's the job, is trying to anticipate what the market will be, read the market. If there are things to do early, which is unusual, make sure that you're on top of them. But I do think that the cliche of 2 months is true in a lot of ways. There's just not a lot to do early except prepare yourself for what may come in front of you. Once you get to June and July.
Might they be preparing themselves for adding maybe a short-term solution to their arm group, right? Like Scott Braun, foul territory, also joining us, talking about the risk to your bullpen.
The key with the Mariners the last 2 years was that they've got a pretty healthy staff and they went deep in outings. What happens with most teams, fans of teams that don't have stud pitching like this, is that the bullpen starts to fall apart because you're overworking them. The Mariners have done a really nice job of being able to keep their bullpen in a good spot, but it's not going to be the same when you're missing two guys that are going to give you 6, often 7 innings in their outings.
So we know that Justin Hollander and the rest of that Mariners front office is always thinking about the trade deadline, even while they're figuring out who they are as a team. We know from Scott Braun that teams without great starting pitching see their bullpens wear down, and the Mariners are seeing that right now. Maybe they make a smaller move ahead of the trade deadline to just add a temporary starter, just add someone else to that group, maybe even to add to the bullpen. There's also another possibility. Add an even bigger name. Here's Jeff Passan.
Yeah, the guy has made a lot of trades, but if you go and look at those trades, none of them have been like uber risky. Doing something like what you're proposing, Brock, that would be incredibly risky. And the reward's a parade. And when you hear me say something like that, it just brings out emotions, I imagine, in everyone. Imagine getting to be a part of that. And if this is the move that gets us there, we have to do it. And if we're so good at drafting and developing guys and turning Logan Evans from, 5th round pick into what he is right now and hitting downdraft guys, then we can weather it. And we should, because getting superstars, as we know, is a really hard thing to do. But, to be honest, that's what the 3rd pick in the draft is for.
We all know the Mariners are probably going to need to add, but how much longer can they stay afloat without making a move, Curtis? Should they make a trade sooner rather than later? And where do you see the biggest hole?
The biggest hole right now, I think conventional wisdom would say the starting rotation. The good news, though, is that from what we have heard, you are likely to get Kirby, Gilbert, and Bryce Miller back at some point this season. Now, will they be the same Logan Gilbert, the same George Kirby, and the 2024 version of Bryce Miller when they return? Remains to be seen. Tough to project that far out. But when I'm looking at this infield, Stacy, and it's even more magnified now with some uncertainty about J.P. Crawford, how he was scratched from Wednesday's starting lineup and then We still don't know if he's going to be available today.
He's in San Diego.
He is in San Diego. He posted a picture on his Instagram story of SeaWorld.
Yeah.
There's no SeaWorld up here. So you look at just the infield right now, Ben Williamson, I would say, is a strong question mark going forward. Yes, his fielding is great. Maybe you keep him as a bench bat and a great defensive substitution late in games. I don't know if that's best for his development as a 24-year-old playing partially, but that may be what his benefit to the 2025 Mariners is. Shortstop. I hope that it's just a couple-day thing that J.P. Crawford's got. You hope this isn't something that lingers because he's your leadoff hitter. He's been such a valuable contributor to this offense here. At second base, Dylan Moore has been great, but you don't really have anything beyond him at second base. And then at first base, Rowdy Tellez, I don't know if he is an everyday first baseman anymore. He has been decent at times this season, but again, it hasn't been frequent enough. So if I'm looking at this Mariners roster right now, Stacy, I think the hope of getting Kirby and Gilbert and Bryce back is what would keep me away from saying starting pitching is your biggest need right now, because it sounds like at some point within the next month-ish, we could see all of them back. I don't know how long of a rehab they will give Logan Gilbert, but I mean, he was pitching at 90% effort the other day in a bullpen session, which is great to see this close to when he left for injury. But I'd say right now the infield, to me, is the biggest area of need with this Mariners team.
Well, and one issue is fixable when it comes to pitching in the infield, and one may not be, right? When earlier we've been talking about this team specifically during a stretch of 8 consecutive series wins, we were saying the biggest problem with the Mariners right now is pitching health. It's not what we thought it was. It's not your offense. That's not your single biggest problem. So we were wondering, do you add an arm? What do you do? Can you get these guys back? And I think that's still true. The biggest problem with this club right now is health. That is the biggest issue that's staring you right in the face, particularly when it comes to something that was supposed to be your strength. But the problem that became more concerning over certainly the last 2 series is what feels like regression for pieces on your offense. And I thought that we would be talking about maybe Jorge Polanco's strikeouts, going up, maybe Jorge and Cal aren't quite as hot, as we saw in May. Instead, what we're talking about is an underrated piece of your success during that stretch of winning. Batters 7 through 9 are just not there anymore.
Right.
And not only that, but what felt like a pretty nice Band-Aid for your infield is just not that anymore.
No, it's not. It's now, the scab is showing, and it's starting to get scratched away, and that's when the bleeding starts again. Jim Bowden on with Wyman and Bob this week talking about how the Mariners shouldn't rest in their position in the standings and should go get another bat.
They've been more consistent. The thing that stands out to me is that they led the league in strikeouts, and you have basically the same team, and now they're more in the middle of the pack in that area. They're going to walk and they're going to hit homers. That's what this team does, right? Cal Raleigh's been huge. Giving him that contract was big. I think he's got 12 home runs, something like that, amongst the league leaders, only a couple behind Judge. So it's been fun to watch. Look, I think the injury to Robles is still something not to ignore out of the get-go. I thought he was important last year. And I do think, even though they're off to a decent start, I do think they need to go get another bat. I don't think they should rest on their laurels just because they're sitting there in first place right now.
I think it's a good point that Bowden brings up about Victor Robles. Again, we talked about we don't know what Logan Gilbert and George Kirby are going to look like when they get back. We don't know what Victor Robles is going to look like when he gets back either, if he gets back. There's still, questions as to whether or not he'll still need surgery for the shoulder injury that he sustained in San Francisco back in April. But again, last year it was a 70-game sample size for Victor Robles, and that's more than, say, a good month. That's like a good few months. But again, you're going to be asking a guy fresh off the injured list, dealing, with a pretty important part of your body when it comes to playing baseball. Like, I don't know if you can count on Victor Robles when he returns, if he returns at some point later this summer, to be the kind of contributor that he was last season. So again, it kind of points back to the offense still being maybe your biggest area of need, even with the 3 starting pitchers currently on the IL.
Yeah, I kind of see it like if your approach to addressing your infield in the offseason was keeping much of the same and then, patching little holes here and there, well, eventually you're going to need to repatch it and fix it because any like really cheap temporary solution is not going to always have the longevity and production that you're going to have if you were to go out and get one of the top third basemen available or whatever it is. First baseman available, fill in the blank, right, when it comes to this team. 253, aren't we forgetting the biggest part of trading early, which is that another team must be willing to participate in a trade? With the AL so weak and so many teams in the race, are your only trade partners really the NL at the moment? Yeah, you're staring at the Rockies going, so you guys aren't going to the playoffs.
Yeah,
what
you guys aren't doing anything, right?
It's a really, really good question. I think, and yes, to answer your point, no one's trading anyone in May, but, and especially in a tight AL race, you're right. I think that the point of this exercise is also, can the Mariners wait it out or will they have to do something? And if we can acknowledge, I think they're going to have to do something, then our June conversations sound different.
Right. It kind of reminds me of the spot that the Mariners found themselves in 2018 when Robinson Cano went down with his injury. And then obviously he was suspended basically the same time he got hurt. I think he got hurt on a Sunday and then suspended the following Monday. And yes, it's not often we see trades in the month of May, but that trade the Mariners made after Cano went down where they acquired Denard Span and Alex Colomé from the Rays happened on May 25th of 2018 that season. Luis Arias last year was traded from the Marlins, a team that is still in the doldrums. He was traded on May, I want to say 17th last year. So basically 1 year to the day the Marlins traded him to the Padres. You'll see him in a Padres uniform tonight. So there are two, I think, notable trades that have happened in the month of May, just off the top of my head. That one that I talked about with the Mariners and then Luis Arias last year. So yes, it's kind of unprecedented. I think the asking price right now would be more than what it would be, say, in June or July. But that's not to say the trade market is entirely closed right now.
Let's get to headline rewrites.
Extra, extra, read all about it.
Headline rewrites.
We must make headlines.
The real story behind the headlines in today's news with Bump and Stacy.
The Nuggets have forced a Game 7 with their 119-107 win over the Oklahoma City Thunder on Thursday.
If you want to steal a Seattle team, you got to steal their history of heartbreak, too.
That's right. You get
Congrats.
that, Oklahoma City.
You inherited that.
I am rooting for Denver on Sunday, absolutely. I want to see a recreation of Dikembe Mutombo with the ball on the floor of the Seattle Coliseum. I want to see Nikola Jokic do that on the floor of whatever it is they're calling Oklahoma City's arena right now. Go Nuggets, go. I think they can do it. This series has been really close, except for what was a game 2 when Oklahoma City won by like 40-something points. I really desperately want to see Denver win because, Stacy, I'm looking at the rest of the NBA playoffs. I don't really see a team coming out of the Eastern Conference that can go toe-to-toe with Oklahoma City. And I don't know if Minnesota can go toe-to-toe either. I think if Oklahoma City can get eliminated
So you're saying Denver is our last hope here?
I think, yes. I think if Oklahoma City can get eliminated before the NBA Finals, we have done our work. We don't need to worry about it. And they've obviously shown themselves to be vulnerable in this series as Denver has taken a game in Oklahoma and then enforced a game 7.
You're saying if Oklahoma gets past this in game 7 on Sunday, you see them as like they're going to win the finals.
I have a really hard time seeing them get eliminated.
So we're currently looking at the Nuggets as our saviors.
Come on, Denver. Come on,
please,
Nikola Jokic.
For everyone else.
Michael Porter Jr., we take back anything we said about you when you were at Nathan Hale, how weird that situation was. We take back anything we've said about your brother, Jonte, how weird he is. Like, go out and do the dang thing.
I just want to ask a final question. I saw, obviously, plenty of discourse about this online among Seattle fans. I would say that 90% of Seattle sports fans don't like OKC. And it's like, hey, no offense to OKC, no offense to their fans. It just is what it is. Like, pain lasts a long time.
Yes. And why I'm wearing a Sonics hat today.
Exactly. However, what do you make of the take some people have that, well, it's it's not the players' fault. It's not the fans' fault. Like, why root against a team that, whatever. I already know what you're going to say, but I'm throwing it your way because I know it's what some people feel.
It's the logo. It's everything that front office and that ownership group represents. It's still the same ownership group that took over back when Howard Schultz sold to them. So, sure, you don't have to. Sure, the players had nothing to do with it. Like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander had nothing to do with the relocation. He was a baby probably when that whole thing went down. But to me, it is something I will never get over as a Seattle sports fan, and I think a lot of people listening will never get over. I think it's something that a lot of people will never get over, even if the Sonics do return in the next couple of years. It just, the way it all went down was so shady and so dirty, and there was nothing any of us could do to stop it. David Stern just had it out for the city of Seattle because they wouldn't give public funding to Clay Bennett's group, and I just think we as a city have felt very slighted for so long, and I can never root for anything good to happen to that franchise.
Yep.
Headline Rewrites.
Bill Belichick was again asked about his controversial relationship with 24-year-old Jordan Hudson on Good Morning America this morning, calling Hudson his muse.
A totally normal and not at all weird way to describe the person you're dating.
Muse. That just...
It's very...
makes me feel uncomfortable.
If you had a bingo card of like things you're going to hear... like a May-December romance kind of refer to each other as, a much younger partner. Just, she's my muse.
It's
We've seen that too many times.
Icky.
Whatever. Love is love.
Sure.
Just because I think it's an age gap.
Be normal about it.
It's an age gap that would make me very uncomfortable.
Yes.
If it was one of my friends, I'd be like, this is a little uncomfortable for
Now,
me. However, if you're an adult. You're an adult. If you're in love, whatever, who cares?
Did you see Pablo Torre? I think he was on with a Boston radio station yesterday. He said that Jordan Hudson was around the Patriots as early as 2021. So that would be 4 years ago.
And that would make her...
about 19 to 20 years old. Yeah. And Bill Belichick would have been, what, like 68, 69?
Here's the thing. I do believe, I don't know that you do, I believe she has nothing to do with UNC football. Like, I believe that she has nothing to do with football decisions he's making, recruiting decisions he's making, even if it might annoy people. Like, why is she on the field? I don't think she has any say over any decision he makes football-wise. I do think he takes and heeds her advice with career stuff.
Everything PR,
Everything PR. And if that's what he's deciding to do, fine. I think the age difference is ultimately at the root of what makes people talk about it.
Headline Rewrites.
The Mariners face the Padres on Apple TV Plus's Friday Night Baseball tonight. What's the real headline?
The real question isn't whether the Mariners will win, but when Wyman and Bob will find out the game is on Apple TV.
It's what, 10:23 right now?
I'm saying 5:30.
I'm going to say, I think it happens before 4 p.m.
Okay. Texters.
But it's going to be during their show when they find out.
I think so too. God love them. We love both of them. But I know they hate Apple TV games, hate streaming games.
Right.
And it's always a surprise.
I've never seen Dave Wyman more mad than when Major League Baseball used to put games on Facebook. There was a couple of years, probably like 2018, 2019, they would have Facebook games during the middle of the week. And Dave Wyman, notorious for not having any social media.
It is dumb.
Yes.
A Facebook game is feels dumb.
And so it was always funny watching him ask his wife, Shannon, like, what's your login?
Yeah.
Like, I have to watch this game because I'm coming on right after.
What was really behind the trade of DK Metcalf? John Schneider has a new interview out and opened up about Seattle's very different looking wide receiver room. That's next.
Only Brock and Salk and Seattle Sports go one-on-one with Raiders head coach Pete Carroll. Dude, that still sounds so weird.
Are you kidding me?
Good morning, Coach. How are you?
What's happening, fellas? Nice to see you.
Nice to see you, too. It's been a while. How are you?
I get. You haven't called me once. What are you talking about? Doing great. We're having a blast. The energy around this building is really familiar and really fun.
The whole conversation's on video. Watch it on YouTube or the Seattle Sports app.
Do you have a car sitting around collecting dust? Well, turn that car into cash at Wayscar Ford in Auburn. Not only will they purchase your vehicle today, pay you right up front, but it gets way better. Once they resell your old car, they share 50% of their profit with you. I'm here with my friend Mark Clymer from Wayscar Ford in Auburn. So, Mark, it's been a few years since you started offering this. How's it going? And how much money have you given back to your customers that sold their cars to Wayscar Ford under this program?
It's going great, Stacy. As a matter of fact, we've given back over $750,000 to the customers that have sold their cars to us on our vehicle profit sharing program.
Wow, that's fantastic. Why do you think it's working so well?
Let's face it, it's Thunderdome out there with all the auto theft, the identity theft, and the other scams going on today. Less and less people are comfortable trying to sell their car themselves. So we offer them a way to get a lot more money for their car without having to go through all the hassle of trying to sell it themselves.
And it's only at Wayscar Ford, Isuzu in Auburn. WayscarFord.com.
You think your home is pretty cool until that summer heat hits, and suddenly your home isn't that cool. In fact, it's hot. Air conditioning from Washington Energy Services can help. Stay cool this summer with our biggest spring savings event ever. This month only, take up to $2,500 off an energy-efficient Bryan cooling system with exclusive Washington Energy rebates. Ensure your home is always the cool house with air conditioning from Washington Energy Services. Contact us today for a free estimate.
Progressive knows if you have to choose between everyday life and your RV, RV wins.
What, are you going to take the RV to the mountains or go pick up your dry cleaning? RV wins! Are we cleaning the gutters or taking the RV camping? RV wins! Are we getting a new passport or cruising up the coast? RV wins!
Don't forget, you got that trip to Sweden coming up.
Oh, yeah, passport, then RV.
With Progressive, you can bundle your RV with your home or auto and save with a discount and spend more time enjoying those savings in your RV. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers not available in all states and situations.
Did you know your skin is the largest organ of your body? Huh? That's why you should shower with Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash instead of plain old bar soap. Love your skin by super hydrating it with vitamin B3 and glorious notes of vanilla and shea. Did you know that my super hydrated skin is the second largest organ of my body? The first is my heart. Old Spice. Men have skin too. Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash. 24/7 renewing moisture. With daily use.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today?
My car is making this noise. Sometimes it's like doot doot, and sometimes it's like grrr.
Do you have a dash light on?
Oh yeah.
Then we don't have to listen for clues. With the free Fix Finder service, we can read a check engine, ABS, or maintenance light to find the likely fix and even recommend a local shop if you need one.
So you don't need to hear the grrr.
Not with Fix Finder. Everything you need, nothing you don't.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Do you find yourself stuck in a timeshare? Get the real facts about the timeshare industry and your options for cancellation. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, has put together a free information guide that reveals the secrets the timeshare industry doesn't want you to know, including the 5 ways to get rid of your timeshare. Call now and get this timeshare cancellation guide absolutely free.
Call 800-838-6161. That's 800-838-6161. 800-838-6161.
We are Seattle Sports, the home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports.
Watch your favorite show live at seattlesports.com.
LeeJohnson.com is a dynamic research tool.
We want to give the customer enough information to where they don't have to go anywhere else to research any of the questions they have. And if they want more information, we'd love to be there to help. We don't want them to feel like they're dependent on emailing us or texting us or calling us just to get the information they need. So we put it all out there. We call them digital retailing tools, big fancy calculators where you can get in there and change the terms and change the payments and change the cash down. And it'll give you a disclosure of, hey, when you do this, this means here. And a consumer can get on there and do a lot of this themselves. And then if they choose to get us involved, we can actually get involved on the backside of it and help them along the way. We want to give the consumer the same tools that we have and let them understand what we understand.
Yup, that's pretty much what you'd expect. The LJ way is The Lee Johnson Auto family.
Dave Wyman here for Harley Exteriors, a local company serving all of Western Washington for 23 years. I'm excited to work with Harley Exteriors because they're my type of people. I met with Ray, Chris, and Nick at my home recently about getting our windows replaced. We've been in our home for over 20 years, and virtually every window has a broken seal. We talked about Harley Exteriors and their exclusive, high-quality Eurovinyl Olympic Series window. It's manufactured right here in Washington. They're designed specifically for homes in the Pacific Northwest, helping to maximize energy, efficiency, and beauty. It's a window you can trust to last the life of your home. It's very affordable with options like 0 payments and 0 interest up to 12 months for qualified buyers. And through May, buy 3 windows and get 1 free. Harley Exteriors are big fans of the station, and they're excited to work with our listeners. Get in touch with Harley Exteriors for windows, doors, and more in Puget Sound. Call 833-HARLEY, HARLEY, or go to harleyexteriors.com.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio.
This is Bumpin' Stacy.
Weekdays 10 to 2.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
I have horrible news. Apparently, Wyman and Bob already know that it's on Apple TV.
Oh.
I know, that's no fun.
There goes that bit.
I like hearing them find out an hour before.
And then just the...
Who told them?
Yeah.
Who
just
told
the
them?
flustered... Yeah, I don't know.
God, that upsets me.
I mean, the Mariners have advertised it quite a... You know what the great thing, though, is about Apple TV before we get into all these John Schneider cuts? And I don't know if everybody is aware of this, and I think we need to do a public service.
I know where you're going, and I'm glad you're saying it.
There is a way to listen to the Seattle Sports Call on your TV through Apple TV. Just click the little sound wave icon that is right above where you hit press, where you press pause and play and whatnot. And there's a little drop-down menu, and then you can pick your call. You can pick National TV, which Heidi Watney, who's joining us at 11, she's going to be on the call with Wayne Randazzo. And then you can pick either Padres Radio or Mariners Radio. You're welcome.
Yeah.
You can still listen to Rick Riz and Gary Hill, 2 people who you love dearly.
And I know there are people who, and I've done this before, you try to like sync it up, and then maybe the commercials aren't quite the same, or something gets messed up, and you're like, oh, it's not quite the same.
This syncs it up.
Yeah. And if you aren't sure, like if you're like, I don't see the icon, just click like down, or maybe, you know what I mean? Do something to trigger the, like
the menu.
to pop up on the screen. So you're welcome.
Yeah.
That's a gift.
That's
John
free.
Schneider was on the Rich Eisen show yesterday and had a lot to say, not just about the quarterback room, which we're going to get to at 10:45, but also about that trade of DK Metcalf. What was behind the trade? A lot of us assumed that it was money, right? John Schneider seemingly had a lot of respect for DK Metcalf, and while DK did request the trade, we thought it was DK is annoyed that Seattle isn't offering him the contract he wants, and so he wants out, or maybe that Seattle is far more willing to make the trade because they don't want to give the DK that money. So John Schneider was asked by Rich, was DK leaving about money?
No, it really wasn't. And it was interesting because it wasn't like animosity either. It was like, somebody's really, really, he really wanted a fresh start. And, it's not like, we went into the offseason thinking this would be a possibility, but he was just, he was pretty dug in on it. So ended up working out for both clubs, working out for us, working out for Pittsburgh, and we wish him the best. He's a great guy and obviously a high-end competitor.
What'd you make of that, Curtis?
I kind of got that vibe, too, from DK. And I think he was ready to probably see what else was out there once Pete Carroll was let go. It never really felt like DK was on the same page with Mike McDonald's coaching staff, and I don't think that was any fault of Mike McDonald's. It's just that Pete has a way of connecting to certain guys that I don't think McDonald has, especially guys that were here for a long time. We heard DK's podcast comments, what was it, with Mike Robb, and just how him and Tyler kind of didn't feel like they were being heard, and so they kind of mentally checked out halfway through the season, and they were kind of like, I don't think this is for us here anymore. And so knowing that information now, it felt like there was probably no way that DK was going to reach an extension agreement with the Seahawks, even if they reached that number that he was asking, that $33 million he ended up getting from the Steelers. So, yeah, I'm not surprised at all that DK was more about like, hey, I just need to find another place.
Do you think that had to do with something like if you're DK and you just want a fresh start? Well, what does a fresh start mean? It can't just mean like, oh, I want to go to a new city and lay down roots. And I've always wondered, what would it be like in Pittsburgh? It has to be, I want a slightly different role. I want a slightly different vibe. Like there has to be something behind a fresh start.
Well, he's the clear-cut number one receiver in Pittsburgh right now, especially with George Pickens no longer there. Like he is going to be their number one stud receiver and really the only guy that has any sort of track record of like NFL success with that team. It's funny how the Steelers went from, having George Pickens and still being in the wide receiver market the last couple of years, trying to acquire any and all receiver that became available. They then acquired DK Metcalf, and it's like, okay. Pickens. Yeah, and then it's like, all right, you've got Pickens and DK Metcalf, and then about a month later, you go and trade George Pickens, and it's kind of like, you're kind of back where you were. And not only that, you're paying DK Metcalf more money than what Pickens was going to make this season.
I was going to say, I know that they had a contract decision to make about Pickens, but I also wonder if that was, based on Mike Tomlin's comments, just as much a behavioral, personality, culture thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah, he had all the talent in the world, but maybe Mike Tomlin, especially Mike Tomlin getting a little bit older, who just doesn't have that patience, is like, okay, enough. I've done enough covering up of, like, personalities that just cannot get it together.
Mm-hmm.
Well, DK is gone, and it was interesting to hear a little bit more about behind the scenes, but we have some other wide receivers to talk about. Let's JSN. John was asked whether JSN having a great year was a factor in moving on from DK.
Yeah, a part of it, but it's also, that does factor in, but it's also, again, when you're moving on from a talent like DK, it's important to be able to try to replenish that room. So being able to add speed with MVS, and then obviously, Cooper Kupp coming in. And, the guy's a total role model, works his tail off. I know you know him real well. And he's been outstanding for that room and for the group out here, and especially for JSN, going into his third year. So, we're excited about the group. Drafted two guys that we're really excited about as well. So, along with the guys that have been here too. So, we're excited about that room.
How are you feeling about the wide receiver room?
I'm feeling okay about it.
Yeah.
I think I would feel a little more comfortable had they gotten a receiver maybe a little earlier in the draft than the 5th round when they got Torrey Horton. But I'm not mad at the collection of talent that they put together. I think MVS is a veteran receiver that's he's going to do his job. Like, he's going to be your deep threat. He's going to be that guy. Maybe not the deep threat that DK Metcalf was when he was here, but he's going to be the guy that, has a lot of familiarity with Kubiak's offense. That was a big reason why MVS signed here. Cooper Kupp, his resume speaks for itself. And then JSN coming off the year that he did, I think it's a good thing. The one thing, though, Stacy, that you and I looked up before the show was just how different the Seahawks are with their wide receiver room in 2025 compared to 24 in terms of the money that's being handed out. 24, they have the highest salary cap percentage of any NFL team dedicated to wide receivers. And right now, and that was about 15%. They have slashed that in half to 8.6%, and their cap ranking in the wide receiver room is now 23rd. What does that tell you, Stacy, when you see a slashing of what used to be here in Seattle compared to what it is now?
I mean, it's about moving priorities around, right? So if I were going back to the initial question of how are you feeling about the wide receiver room, I'd say a little less confident overall. There's just a lot of either unknowns or, in the case of Cooper Kupp, someone we know well who's a little less durable, a little older than he used to be. However, the cost of that was freeing up money you didn't have before. So you had what felt like sure things or some dynamic playmakers in your wide receiver room, in part because you were paying a lot of money for it and investing a lot into it.
Yeah.
You don't mind the additional question marks in the wide receiver room or the loss of star power in that room if production comes from somewhere else and money moves somewhere else, right? If you're moving it to, okay, now our offensive line is better. Now our run game is better. We went out and we paid for, we gave Ernest Jones money, and now we've got like a run defense we really believe in. You feel just fine about question marks at one position group if you don't have as many somewhere else. And that's what I feel like part of that was, and that's what it says to me.
Yeah, and I think I'm quite all right with the Seahawks moving that money around. and maybe not dedicating as much to the wide receiver room. I get that, like, the Eagles just showed that you can commit a lot of money to your wide receivers and win a Super Bowl, but also they had the talent elsewhere on their roster to get away with stuff like that.
Yeah, the Eagles are kind of this like impossible measuring stick where, much like the Chiefs, ironically, obviously the two teams having faced each other, every conversation about the Chiefs always came down to, well, you also have to have Patrick Mahomes. And then with the Eagles, it's like, yeah, but you have this like once-in-a-lifetime collection of talent.
Right. You've got Saquon Barkley,
everywhere
A.J.
on that
Brown,
roster.
Devontae Smith.
Yeah.
Their offensive line's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, we've got more from John Schneider. He reveals whether or not he warned Sam Darnold about the team's decision to draft Milroe. That's next.
After a tough homestand.
Next offer to Judd, swinging a well-hit ball deep to left field. The Yankees have the lead.
The first-place Mariners are back on the road, where they've been at their best so far this season. Call them the Road Warriors.
In the clutch.
Tonight, the M's kick off a 10-game trip in the first of 3 against the Padres. First pitch at 6:40, with Wyman and Bob taking you up to pregame at 5:30. Hear every pitch on 710 and the Seattle Sports app.
Mike Rowe here with a quick question. Have you noticed a musty smell in your home? I hope not, because damp smells mean that you could have a crawl space problem. That's where Groundworks comes in. They can honestly assess your situation and create a plan to waterproof your crawl space and get to the root cause of the problem. Schedule your free inspection at groundworks.com/row. And while you're there, check out my latest dirty job. It's a good one.
Licensed in all states where work is performed. See website for details. Michael Bumpus here. And golfers, how does a golf handicap level up your game? First, it levels the playing field so you can compete with golfers of any skill level. 2, shooting par isn't realistic for many of us, so a handicap can set achievable goals on your actual skill level. Lastly, tracking your progress helps you set goals towards improvement like I have. You can get a handicap index in 3 easy steps. Sign up for a handicap ID, post your scores, and after 3 18-hole rounds, you got it. To learn more, visit wagolf.org/710.
All power, zero compromise. Eagle cordless outdoor power equipment features advanced lithium battery technology that exceeds the power and performance of gas without the noise, fuss, or fumes. From mowers and trimmers to blowers and pressure washers, one battery powers over 90 tools. No wonder it's the #1 rated brand in cordless outdoor power. Power beyond belief. Visit egopowerplus.com to learn more or to find an Ego retailer near you. That's egopowerplus.com.
When I wake up, the best mornings in the morning light start with Wrangler. Pull on my jeans and I feel all right. Jeans, jackets, and shirts that get your day started on the right foot. I pull my blue jeans on. I pull my old blue jeans on. Good mornings make for better days. I pull my blue jeans on. I pull my old blue jeans on. Wrangler, for the ride of life.
Thanks for calling Discover. This is Nia.
Hi, Nia. It's Jennifer. Did you know that Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Yeah, I work here.
Okay. I was just double checking. Get it?
Because Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Oh, you get me, Nia.
You could say that I double get you.
I guess we've taken it too far.
You earn, we match. Discover Cashback Match. See terms at discover.com/creditcard.
Every great team has its core players, but when the season gets tough, adding the right free agent can make all the difference. The same goes for business. At Robert Half, we found that 67% of companies surveyed plan to increase their use of contract talent to handle workload peaks and backlogged projects. With Robert Half's specialized recruiters' experience, combined with our award-winning AI, you can quickly find the skilled candidates you want. At Robert Half, we know talent. Discover how we can help at roberthalf.com/talent.
Live MMA takes over Muckleshoot Event Center Saturday, May 24th. Witness the heart-pounding action as the fiercest fighters step into the cage for an unforgettable night of stunning knockouts, merciless submissions, and pure adrenaline. You don't want to miss it. Get your tickets now at MuckleshootCasino.com.
Muckleshoot.
Heading outdoors or on the water this weekend? Check in with Joey and Nelly on the Outdoor Line from 6 to 8 a.m. every Saturday on Seattle Sports and the Seattle Sports app.
Imagine finding your dream home and moving in right away.
No waiting to sell your old place first. Sounds perfect, right? That's exactly what Orchard's Move First, Sell Later program lets you do. Buy your new home now and sell the old one later. Here's how it works. Orchard gives you cash so you can buy and move into your new home first on your timeline. No waiting, no showings, no double moves. Then the Orchard experts take it from there. They handle repairs on your old home for you so you attract the right buyers. Once they're done, a local Orchard agent lists and sells your home for top dollar. Orchard's Move First program gives you the freedom to buy and move into your new home first and sell your old home later. Buy before you sell and get top dollar for your home with Orchard. Ready to find out how much your home is worth? Visit Orchard.com to get your free home valuation. That's Orchard.com.
My wife and I have been married for over 15 years, and I've never had any complaints about my performance in the bedroom. But after I turned 40, things started feeling different. I was gaining weight, losing muscle, and I just wasn't interested in sex anymore. My wife told me her friend's husband went through the same thing, and it turns out he had low testosterone. So we booked a free T-check at Revive Health, and that's when I learned that my testosterone levels were low too. We worked with a provider to create a custom treatment plan, and today, my wife and I are having more fun than we did on our honeymoon. My only regret is not reaching out sooner.
If you're ready to book your free T-check, visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com or call 206-529-1111. Again, that's 206-529-1111.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio,
This is Bumpin' Stacy.
weekdays 10 to 2.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
The Mariners are opening a series against the Padres. Apple TV Friday Night Baseball's Heidi Watney is joining us in less than 15 minutes, so we will get to the Mariners. We've been pretty heavy Seahawks for the last 15 minutes, though. But John Schneider did a really interesting interview. It's with the Rich Eisen Show, airing yesterday, about 15 minutes long, so there was a lot here. And we're going to transition from his comments to DK Metcalf in that wide receiver room, Curtis, to his comments about Sam Darnold first. His expectations for Sam Darnold in 2024.
Yeah, very high, very high. You know, you can see the progress, as you stated, you know, getting with the group and, you know, Kyle and those guys in San Francisco, and then where Kevin and his group, you know, took it last year. He just keeps making really cool progress every year. And, you know, to have, you know, a system, you know, established system in place that he's played in and comfortable with is a big deal. And so, you know, great human, great competitor. He's been a great leader so far. Yeah, just, I know you guys know him well, but excited to get him in the building.
2025, not 2024. I thought this was interesting, and I think that on the one hand, a GM that signed a player, a team that currently has that player on the roster and wants that player to feel confident is never going to say, yeah, he's kind of a bridge guy, Rich. Great question. Next. However, while I know that he's going to say something positive about Sam no matter what, I also do wonder if Sam Darnold fits a type of profile quarterback that John might more typically be interested in, based on some of the pro days he's gone to and some of the guys we've heard linked to him.
Right. I think Schneider really appreciates quarterbacks that have strong arms, and that is obvious with like Russell Wilson, how long he spent here in Seattle. And then the quarterbacks that we have seen the Seahawks maybe have some interest in terms of like pro days visited.
Josh Allen.
The two most being, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes. Those guys, no one can question their arm strengths. Sam Darnold, he's got a rocket for an arm. Drew Lock, as we know, has a really good arm as well. So it just kind of fits the profile of what Schneider might look for in terms of quarterback play. Now, there is the risk of Darnold, you know, turning the ball over as much. I think it was Mike Greenberg who we had on, where it was like you can always kind of pencil in Sam Darnold for one turnover a game. You just got to hope that one turnover isn't what's going to end up costing you the game. So I think Darnold, my expectations for him, I think I could see a world in where he throws for close to 4,000 yards this season, especially with JSN and how good he is. I think Cooper Kupp is poised to. I think he's motivated to show people that I'm not this broken down receiver that everybody kind of paints me as. I still have good football left in me. I think he's going to have a good season. And I think the offensive line is going to be improved at least a little bit to where Darnold will have time to throw. So I like the Darnold signing based off of, just the available quarterbacks. What could you get that is very similar to Geno Smith? I think Darnold, of everybody that was available this offseason, is probably the closest you can get. I don't think Kirk Cousins is somebody that would be able to replicate what Geno Smith can do. I think what Cousins showed us in Atlanta might be who he is as a quarterback going forward, coming off that Achilles injury.
Also, another quarterback joining this room, clearly from the draft, Alabama's Jalen Milroe. Schneider was first asked whether or not they communicated with Sam Darnold about their intent to draft a quarterback.
Yeah, Coach. So Mike McDonald, gave Sam a heads up and was kind of, within that period, it was coming down the pike like, hey, this isn't about you. This is about acquiring an impact player. In our opinion, where does the quarterback stuff go? We don't know how fast. And then, so Mike talked to Sam. I was able to communicate with Drew. And obviously we were communicating with Sam Howell all throughout the weekend as well. Sam Howell's a special person too.
I thought it was a little interesting that he reached out to Drew Lock and Mike McDonald reached out to Sam Darnold. Maybe not at all, but obviously I'm in the business of reading between the lines, so that's where my head naturally went. Good on them for warning the entire quarterback room, including Sam Howell. Hey, we're really thinking we're going to take a guy, and we want you to know.
Yeah, and I mean, that's something that they even did with Geno Smith while he was here, where they communicated to him, like, yes, we are going to all these pro days. If it means we draft a quarterback, it means we draft a quarterback. It doesn't mean we think any less of you. So this is something that the Seahawks, I think, have been really good at being upfront about, especially in the years after Russell Wilson, because I don't know if Russ was privy to John Schneider attending these pro days beforehand.
Beforehand. No, I
after the fact, yes. And I think that was a big sticking point.
Yes.
As to why those two sides butted heads so much. After about 2017, there was the trade rumor that the Seahawks had offered Russ for the number 1 overall pick, which was going to be used for Josh Allen. And then just all the headaches that came with that. I think post Russell Wilson, the Seahawks, now they also haven't had a quarterback that, in terms of like overall QB rankings in the league, they haven't had a quarterback that was quite near Russell Wilson's peak, where Russ was considered a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. And with a top 5 quarterback in the league, you kind of have to treat them a little bit differently than you would, say, any old starting quarterback. But I think John Schneider kind of learned from that and said, you know what, maybe just to keep things a little more harmonious, I will let them know that, hey, this might be a possibility. Doesn't mean we think any less of you. And they gave Darnold a nice new contract. Yeah. So I just think maybe Schneider's learning a little bit.
Can I take us to a sidebar, a little side cart for a minute, and talk about that 2018 draft where Josh Allen was eventually selected 7th overall by the Buffalo Bills? I think it's interesting if they were to successfully acquire that number 1 pick with the Browns, if they did use it on Josh Allen, because so many people anticipated it would be Baker Mayfield who ended up going number 1 overall, obviously. But even after Baker Mayfield, a pick later, so you have Saquon Barkley at number 2, is Sam Darnold, obviously, selected number 3 overall with the New York Jets, and now clearly in Seattle. My second sidebar, that first round has a number of Pro Bowlers.
Right.
That was a stacked draft class. You've got, and whatever you say about their career now, okay, you've got Baker Mayfield, Saquon Barkley, Sam Darnold, Denzel Ward, Bradley Chubb, Quentin Nelson, Josh Allen, Roquan Smith, Minka Fitzpatrick, Vita Vea at 12. Go Dogs to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You've got Jair Alexander in this class.
Derwin
Frank Ragnow,
James,
still with the Lions as their starting center. Lamar Jackson, obviously, at 32 overall. And then Nick Chubb, a 2nd-round pick, clearly. You've got, it's unreal.
And who did the
Fred
Seahawks
Warner
do?
is in the 3rd round of that class. Mark Andrews is in the 3rd round of that class. Anyways, I took us off the rails, but it's interesting to look back at the 2018 class. All right, so that was the latest from Josh Schneider. If you guys wanted to see more of that interview, I found it up on YouTube. Obviously, Rich Eisen Show posted the entire thing up there. We are going to transition, though, to the Seattle Mariners. They're opening up a road trip with a series against the Padres. Apple TV Friday Night Baseball's Heidi Watney joins us next.
Only Brock and Salk in Seattle sports go one-on-one with Raiders head coach Pete Carroll. Dude, that still sounds so weird.
Are you kidding me?
Good morning, Coach. How are you?
What's happening, fellas? Nice to see you.
Nice to see you, too. It's been a while.
Yeah,
How are
I bet. I get it. You haven't called me once. What are you talking about? Doing great. We're having a blast. The energy around this building is really familiar and really fun.
The whole conversation's on video. Watch it on YouTube or the Seattle Sports app.
You think your home is pretty cool until that summer heat hits, and suddenly your home isn't that cool. In fact, it's hot. Air conditioning from Washington Energy Services can help. Stay cool this summer with our biggest spring savings event ever. This month only, take up to $2,500 off an energy-efficient Bryant cooling system with exclusive Washington Energy rebates. Ensure your home is always the cool house with air conditioning from Washington Energy Services. Contact us today for a free estimate.
Get ready for an unforgettable adventure at LeMay, America's car museum in Tacoma. Marvel at over 300 world-class automobiles and 100 years of history. Don't miss the Shinka exhibit, featuring nearly 50 iconic Japanese sports cars. Feel the thrill of driving a Formula One car on the exhilarating race simulators. There's fun for everyone, so grab your friends or the whole family and plan your visit Thursday to Monday. Learn more at americascarmuseum.org.
Mike's Western Suppliers and CL Western Apparel remind parents the fatal crash rate for teens peaks at age 19, and we lose nearly 8 kids every day. Please make a family agreement to never drive under the influence of alcohol or drugs, text behind the wheel, or ride with anyone who is. Always designate a sober driver, call a parent or ride share, and let's bring our sons and daughters home safely. Best wishes to the class of 2025 from the entire team at Mike's Western Suppliers and CL Western Apparel. Family owned and proudly serving our community for over 30 years.
At Fisher Investments, we may seem like other money managers, but we're different.
Are you really that different than the rest of us?
We are. As a fiduciary, we always focus on what's best for our clients.
What services do you offer besides investing?
We have a team of specialists in financial planning, estate planning, and more.
Your clients rely on you for all that?
Yes, we ensure clients receive unparalleled service at every step of the relationship.
Okay, but you still sell commission-based products, right?
No, because we believe that's a conflict of interest. We prioritize service over sales goals.
So, then how do your fees work?
We have a simple and transparent fee that's a percentage of our clients' portfolios. So we do better when our clients do better.
Wow, we're more different than I thought.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at fisherinvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today?
My car is making this noise. Sometimes it's like doot doot, and sometimes it's like grrr.
Do you have a dash light on?
Oh yeah.
Then we don't have to listen for clues. With the free Fix Finder service, we can read a check engine, ABS, or maintenance light to find the likely fix and even recommend a local shop if you need one.
So you don't need to hear the grrr.
Not with Fix Finder. Everything you need, nothing you don't.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Now is the perfect time to start on your next success. An accredited state university, University of Maryland Global Campus offers online and hybrid courses. Plus, you can earn up to 90 credits toward a bachelor's for prior learning and work experience, or transfer up to 12 credits toward a master's. No application fee if you apply by May 30th. Learn more at umgc.edu. Certified to operate in Virginia by Chev.
Keeping your engines healthy means protecting them in season and out. Experts trust Stable to do that, and third-party testing confirms it. Stable is the industry leader in preventing fuel-related issues, no matter if you use it in your car, boat, or outdoor power equipment. In season or out, at every fill-up or when you store, start with Stable.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm. An important message about your timeshare from Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group.
If you receive an unsolicited phone call or mail piece to discuss selling, renting, or especially canceling your timeshare, don't fall for it. Contact your timeshare resort or Wesley Financial Group for assistance, and I'll send you our timeshare exit information kit free with the straight facts about timeshare cancellation.
Call 800-885-7700. 800-885-7700.
The Mariners are back in action at T-Mobile Park, and you can be there for big moments all summer long with a Flex membership. Flex plans are perfect for fans who want the freedom to choose their games and seats as they go, while still enjoying all the perks of being a member, like saving 10% or more on tickets with no fees, unlocking access to exclusive pre-sales and year-round discounts, and so much more. Join the squad today at mariners.com/flex.
Now Raleigh wins it in the 10th inning for the Mariners.
Let's go! This is Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app.
KIRO AM Seattle. KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma. Home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports. Seattle Sports Snapshot.
The Mariners are looking for a series win after dropping 2, and they get a chance this weekend, though it'll come against a tough opponent. They begin a road trip with a series against the San Diego Padres tonight. First pitch at 6:40 p.m. This one's Friday Night Baseball on Apple TV. There is a stream, of course, on Seattle Sports, and a pregame show beginning on Seattle Sports at 5:30 p.m. Elsewhere in baseball, it's a regular season Subway Series. Juan Soto returns to the Bronx and tens of thousands of boos when the Mets take on the Yankees at 4:05 p.m. Pacific.
Snapshot, brought to you by Miller Lite. When it's game time, it's Miller time. From the Quantum Fiber Studio,
this is Bump and Stacy
on Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app and at seattlesports.com.
Now, here are your hosts, Michael Bumpus and Stacy Ross.
Here we go now. I almost said the Seahawks. This is what happens when you go back and forth. The Mariners opening up a road trip, kind of a longer one, right? They're not back home until the end of May.
Right, 9 games.
Yeah, and that begins with a series against the Padres. And I remember really anticipating this stretch of the schedule when this team was winning every series. Mm-hmm. And I thought, wow, how fun to get a test. You're going to go against the Yankees. Obviously, that offense has been spectacular, and even though they had questions outside of Aaron Judge, those guys have still performed. Unfortunately, Grisham, we saw him hit a couple home runs here. And then you're going to get a series on the road against the Padres, and wow, we're really going to see the measure of this team.
Right.
Now that we're in the middle of those series, quite literally, about to open up that series against the Padres, I feel outmeasured.
A little uneasy.
I feel a little in over my head.
Yeah, I'm kind of feeling like if you can get 1 of 3 against the Padres and then maybe take at least 2 from the White Sox, that's an okay start to your road trip. I think if you can be 3-3, like heading into that Houston series, that 4-game Houston series, then I think you're in a much better spot than I think a lot of us are kind of dreading maybe. I don't know if dreading, but approaching this road trip with an abundance of caution.
Before we dive into a more specific preview, a real preview, here with Heidi Watney, what are you watching for in this series? Is there a player, a position group that you're going to be watching, a question you're looking to have answered? Yeah,
I mean, it's going to be, I think my eyes are obviously going to go to the Mariners starting pitching against this Padres offense because they have a trio of bats right now that are just destroying the baseball. Fernando Tatis Jr., we all know what he's about. 11 home runs this season, an OPS of 943. Already been worth 3 WAR this season. Manny Machado hitting 340 right now. Not a lot of power, only 3 home runs to start this season, but he still has an OPS of 901, so he's hitting a lot of doubles, 14 of them. And then how about Jackson Merrill, their center fielder, coming off of the IL about a week ago, and he missed pretty much the middle portion of April and the first week or so of May. Even with that time off, still managed to have, I believe it was 4 straight multi-hit games coming off of the IL and 5 straight multi-hit games coming off of the IL. His batting average right now in 68 at-bats is .412. He was the National League Rookie of the Year last year. A very, very impressive bat in that Padres lineup, just 22 years old. So those 3 guys I am definitely worried about as the Mariners are, sending out Logan Evans, Emerson Hancock. That's going to be your game 1 and game 2 starters this weekend. I just kind of hope that you keep those guys in the ballpark, keep them from doing too much damage against you.
We talked about Ben Williamson just a little bit to begin the 10 a.m. hour when we were talking about, is this team going to have to make a move? How much longer can they, move forward, just patching holes before they might actually have to do something, whether it's calling someone up, sending someone down, making a trade. And I loved what Ryan had to say yesterday about Ben Williamson. There is, I think, plenty of understandable frustration, fear, worry about the numbers that he's putting up right now. But what Ryan said is, look, when you are a rookie, if you start off hot or if you kind of seem to hit the ground running, as it certainly feels like Ben Williamson did, the league adjusts you. And if you're an everyday guy like Ben Williamson was, that's going to happen much quicker than you expect. It's going to happen much quicker than a rookie who's maybe in there for a little bit. Maybe he gets pinch hit once in a while. Like Ben Williamson is your everyday third baseman, really, or ideally would be if he can figure this out. Mm-hmm. So the league adjusted to him, and then Ryan talked about the ways that he was getting pitched differently, and then said, and now it's up to Ben to adjust. That's what I'm going to be watching in this series. And I know it's very microscopic. Like it's just one little kind of thing that I'll be watching that isn't really going to tell the story of the series, but with so many questions in your infield, if Ben Williamson can adjust and can find a way to start building up some good at-bats and responding, I think that's really encouraging.
It is. And Cal Raleigh actually talked about kind of the struggles that Ben Williamson's going through right now and kind of brought it back to his own that he went through to start off his big league career. Because if we all remember, he came up, I think it was in the 21 season, and had, I think, 2 home runs in like 50-something games, had a batting average below 200. And then the following year in 2022 was on that opening day roster, but struggled so much that they sent him back to Tacoma for a few weeks just to get some confidence back. Here was Cal just kind of reminiscing about those times yesterday with Shannon Dreyer.
I didn't come up right away and have that kind of success that he did. So, but yeah, it's tough, even just talking to any of the young guys, just learning to deal with failure, I think is one of the biggest things that I had to learn. And like you said, you feel like you're in a completely different world. But at the end of the day, you're still playing the same game, but you just never failed at this level. You never failed maybe this much or this consistently. And it's just hard. It's hard to learn to deal with failure, and especially if you've never done it before and if you've never gone through those struggles. So trying to help those guys out as much as I can, try to get guys back on the right track and realize that it's just still baseball and it's just learning how to deal with that and trying to cut the corners quicker.
I think it's interesting when Cal points out that like this might be the first time Ben Williamson has ever like had failure in his baseball career, and that's true for a lot of players that make their way through the minor leagues that get drafted, is that they don't experience a lot of failure on their way to the big league level.
I immediately think of Kelnick.
Exactly. We've had conversations with people in that Mariners front office that they look for guys that have failed or have looked for guys that have experienced maybe setbacks in their career, like in the draft scouting process, because they know these guys can absolutely handle what it's like to have not had success. I think about Brian Wu and his college career. He was not a very good starting pitcher. Same with Logan Evans. And yet those guys were able to, I don't know how they were able to kind of, get past that and become major league players. But for whatever reason, the Mariners stuck it out with those guys, and they stuck it out with the Mariners, and here they are, Brian Wu being the best starting pitcher the Mariners have right now, and Logan Evans being a very capable guy you can fill in at the back of your rotation at the moment. And, I mean, not to say that Ben Williamson, is going to be a bust or anything like that. We still don't know a lot about him because he has very little minor league experience. But when a guy is on the fast track like that, it means that he's just had success after success after success early on in the minors, and now here he is facing his first bit of adversity.
Well, look, I'm going to be really honest. I don't remember a lot of people singing Cal Raleigh's praises to the extent that they do now when he was not just first debuting, but as you mentioned, like continuing to struggle. I remember having an interview with Justin Hollander, and I forget who I think it was it Tom Murphy keeping him? I'm forgetting what was happening at catcher, but something that they were doing, we were talking about and asking him about. So it was obviously a couple years ago. And we worried, he said something like, well, we want to have a ramp for Cal. And I remember in my mind worrying, well, what if you eventually have, because at the time, and I'll admit that, like, I'll admit when I was wrong, a lot of people aren't willing to, but like, I'll admit that, like, at the time I was thinking, Cal? Like, what if he's your only guy? Like, because you're looking at him going, he's not a top prospect. He's never been a 100 prospect. And, you know, I'm not hearing baseball people talk about Cal. I'm going on what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
So when I'm hearing Jerry Dipoto talk about this organization, he's not mentioning Cal Raleigh. And I'm thinking like, oh, God, I don't want to have a giant question mark here. And that ended up being such a surprise. And I'm not saying that's going to happen with Ben. But I love that you mentioned Cal's point about the mental aspect to it, because it's the thing we can't see.
Right.
So you're trying to figure out, wait, what's up with this guy's swing? And sometimes it's like,
why is this guy hitting $140?
Yeah, and sometimes it
makes no
starts
sense.
in between his ears, and we can't see it, so it's hard to decipher how he's going to figure it out.
It's funny because there was a portion of this build to where the Mariners have this core that they have now with Cal and with Julio and Kirby and Logan and whatnot. I remember posting on social media a fake trade proposal where Wilson Contreras was with the Cubs at the time and was like a all-star level catcher. And
I feel like I know where you're
I was
gonna go.
like, well, it was who, or would you give up Cal Raleigh in a trade for Wilson Contreras? And overwhelming response from Mariners fans was, and in a heartbeat.
People
Absolutely.
love forgetting. I love compartmentalizing that I ever wanted to trade Brian Wu. I love forgetting that was a thought that I had.
It's funny because I look back on it and I'm like, man, if the Mariners, not to say that Wilson Contreras is a bad catcher by any stretch of the match, he's still pretty good. He's now with the Cardinals, but imagining this Mariners team with somebody else besides Cal Raleigh as catcher now is just ridiculous to think about, kind of how quickly things changed in that front. And not to say that Ben Williamson is going to be on the same trajectory as Cal, because, I mean, the power really has never been part of Ben Williamson's game. He's a glove-first guy. But early struggles like this are definitely going to test his mettle, and they're going to test kind of the Mariners' belief in him. Like, hey, is this somebody that continuing to do this at the major league level is going to ultimately benefit him? Or is this somebody that maybe it gets to a point where it's like, okay, like we know the glove is there. There's no denying that, but maybe he needs to go face some AAA pitching in order to get things right. And as you've seen at the AAA level the last couple of weeks, Cole Young has been hitting pretty well. He had like a 440-foot home run last night. Maybe that is somebody who you consider at this point in the season and put Dylan Moore at third base. I don't know what the
or
route
maybe
is.
Ben figures it out.
Right, exactly. Or maybe Ben Williamson figures it out.
This is kind of the story within the story, right? Like the story that we're talking about heading into this series is, hey, can the offense bounce back? Can they, can they get a series win against a really good team? Can Logan Evans and Emerson Hancock combine for some like pretty solid starts here? Like that's the main story that we're looking at, right? And then the much bigger story is, can the Mariners make the playoffs, of course. But sometimes as a baseball fan, it's a sport with so many individual battles. It's not just pitcher batter, it's individual batters and these things that they're battling throughout the season. And to me, Ben Williamson feels like a very interesting story within the story that we get to talk about. So I'm going to be very interested to see, what did you say about, we'll obviously ask Heidi, but are you high on San Diego's pitching?
Yes, they've got really good starting pitching this weekend.
I know they're just a dominant team, complete team. But.
Yeah, you've got, Stephen Kolek, who has not given up a run at all in 2 starts this season.
I don't like that.
Threw a complete game shutout his last start. And then you've got Nick Pivetta, who came over in free agency this year. He's really good. And then Michael King is their ace. He gets the start on Sunday. So it's gonna be a tough task for this Mariners team, but it's gonna be. I'm looking forward to this series.
And are they up to it? Apple TV Friday Night Baseball's Heidi Watney joining us now on the Emerald Queen Casino Sportsbook Hotline to help us preview this series, beginning obviously with Friday Night Baseball on Apple TV. Heidi, how's it going?
I'm great. How are you?
Fantastic. Hoping that the Mariners can bounce back a little bit, but this has the potential to be a really fun series, kind of an unofficial rivalry between these two teams, a more fun rivalry, and obviously teams with the potential to have some nice power here. I'll start with you helping us preview and get to know the Padres a little bit more. We all know they're one of the hottest teams in baseball right now in the best division, but tell us specifically where they're really excelling.
Well, it's the Vetter Cup, first of all. So,
Let's not forget.
There's a guitar trophy
Some respect
on
on
the
its
line. High stakes for this one, for this rivalry that dates back decades. Of course. But no, it's a fun one. Look, and it's always fun for us when you've got two great teams coming in. I mean, Mariners in first place. You mentioned a little bit of struggles lately, but they played that Yankees team tough. And it's been a good start to their season. You can really, and I don't need to tell you this, attribute a lot of their struggles. Their rotation just isn't whole. So once their rotation gets whole, it's been great to see their offense jump out the way they have under Kevin Seitzer and Edgar Martinez. As for the Padres, they're one of the most talented rosters in baseball, flat out. They just are. And they've got a lot of young, dynamic players on their roster. Jackson Merrill is becoming a superstar in center field, a la Julio Rodriguez in Seattle, and Fernando Tatis Jr., Manny Machado, Xander Bogaerts is having a pretty good season for the Padres, kind of breaking out a little bit offensively there. And their pitching has been pretty good this year for the Padres. So, it's going to be a tough test for Seattle for sure. San Diego resides in the toughest division in baseball in the NL West, and it's a gauntlet just to get through there. But, it's going to be a great matchup tonight.
Heidi, you mentioned the talent level that the Padres have. The Mariners have some really impressive names on their roster as well. How would you compare maybe the Mariners star level to some of those teams that get covered more on a national level? Like, we all know Julio Rodriguez. Like, that's not a surprise to me. But is Cal Raleigh somebody that gets talked about in your circles? Is like, wow, look what this guy has done.
He should get talked about more than he does, quite frankly. I mean, he's led all catchers in home runs the last 3 seasons. He just signed a big contract extension. But one of the things that I just don't hear people talk about as much anymore is like managing a staff. And when you talk to Mariners pitchers, they love Cal. He's got relationships with all of them. They trust him back there. I mean, that's something that is so important in terms of a cornerstone of your franchise, which Cal certainly is. He's just a leader on that team. And won a platinum glove at catcher last year. I get to talk to him pregame today, so that'll be fun for me because he's just such a good dude and really a backbone of your team.
Yeah.
Polanco, I mean, there's a lot more to this Mariners team than Julio Rodriguez, but a lot of people just kind of, he's the face, right? He's the dynamic, the marketable, the center fielder, the flashy, the robbing home runs the other day. But Randy Arozarena's brought a lot to this team, especially from an offensive perspective. J.P. Crawford, he sets the stage and off to a slower start this season, but he's another player that's just dynamic. I hope he's back in there tonight. I know he was out with a sore shoulder the other day. Haven't had a chance to talk to him yet.
Yeah.
But and Polanco's just, he's coming back into his own after having a really down year offensively last year, and I'm interested to talk to him just to see what's been the difference for him from last year to this year, because he's really taken off again this year and is one of the tops in slugging so far this season.
You know, it's funny. I'm glad you mentioned, hey, there's more to this Mariners team than just Julio, but he's kind of the face. And Heidi, I think that's just in part because the Mariners are rarely a part of a national conversation, national discourse. It just is what it is, right? Like, you're a team that has made the playoffs once in 21 years. So part of that's your own doing. And then part of it is just being kind of geographically isolated. Even though we have far more recently talked about the Padres and they have a very different history, I kind of see them as being in that same boat of sometimes they're just disrespected and overlooked, even when they're really hot. And I love these two teams meeting in Friday night baseball and getting a spotlight because I find them both to be particularly fun.
Well, yes, and the Mariners a lot of the national attention for the last couple of years has just been they've got great pitching. Can they get the offense? Yeah. Excuse me. But so now that they're getting the offense and the pitching will get healthy. In fact, it sounds like a couple guys are going to be in the back in the next few weeks. So I hope and expect them to maintain this throughout the season. A lot of I've been getting asked a lot, are they going to fall off? I don't think that's the case because once their offense can get going and get solidified, with Seitzer's addition has been huge, and Edgar Martinez, even just when he took over last year, a lot of the players raved about him at the end of last season and just being relatable and being able to take all the information and make it digestible for each player, because that's one of the troubles with analytics, right? You have to be able to wrap your head around how to use it. And then the Padres, they've been getting more national attention because they have a lot of flash. They have a lot of that swagger that maybe the Mariners team doesn't have quite as much of outside of Julio. And I think JP's got a lot of it too. And it's just they're more, I think when you look at it from a professional level, you look at the Mariners as more business-like, professional, right? And I don't mean that in a bad way at all. And then the Padres are this team that's just got a lot of swagger to them. So, but the talent level is there for both squads, and I think it's going to be a great one tonight. I think this one, it's going to be a good matchup this weekend, I think, with the way the teams are performing lately, too.
Heidi, you mentioned just how tough the division that the Padres are in. The Mariners in the American League, it kind of feels like no team right now anybody would consider to be a juggernaut at this portion of the schedule. So when you look at the American League landscape, do you see any team right now that is head and shoulders above the rest, or is it kind of muddy to you just as it is to a lot of people we've spoken to?
Yeah, I mean, there's the Yankees are very talented, obviously. The Tigers have been surprising a lot of people, and the Tigers have been a fun watch as well. And you've seen this coming on really for the last couple of seasons in Detroit. They came on strong in the second half last year to make that push for the postseason. Sorry. Producer's calling. I gotta just silence him for a second there.
Stupid
but
producer.
Yeah, we're way more important.
I guess you guys probably couldn't hear that ringing. I could.
No.
But,
we can. You're good.
In the AL West, it's just interesting because the Astros have been so good for so many years, right? And they're taking a little bit step back this year, but they seem to be playing better lately, too, and you can't count them out. And the Texas Rangers have a lot of talent on their roster. So in terms of the division, the A's are making some noise, too, out there in Sacramento, which I don't mean to laugh, but it's just the situation that organization has been in for the last couple of years. It's just, I feel for those players, really, and Mark Kotsay at the helm there. But I think a lot of people have been impressed with the Mariners, and it's been the story, as I said, for the last couple of years. If they can get their offense going, they have the pitching. They have one of the best staffs in the league. So obviously they need to get healthy again this year. But I'd say cream of the crop. And the Red Sox have so much talent. The addition of Alex Bregman is huge. They've got a lot of drama going on right now, but I think they're going to right the ship. I have all the belief in Alex Cora to get that, pushed aside, the drama pushed aside, and to forge ahead. So that's another team to watch out for. And the Central, the Twins have been coming on strong. They've won, 11 straight? They have talent, too. It's a matter of staying healthy. But, Correa and Buxton are two of their biggest players, and they just collided in the outfield yesterday. So it'll be they're both in concussion protocol right now. So see if they can sustain without those guys for a little bit.
I know we're getting away from this upcoming series, but just while we're talking about the American League and teams that have surprised or not surprised us or what have you, I'm going to go back to the East. Is it way too early in the year to say, I think the Orioles might be out of this already? I mean, what's going on with them?
Dude, what is
crazy.
going on? It really is. I mean, speaking of talented rosters that have done well,
right?
We knew their pitching was going to take a step back, but their position players also seem to have taken a step back offensively for them this year. It's a tough division for Baltimore, but I don't think anyone expected them to come out of the gates this poorly, but they really have.
She is Apple TV's Heidi Watney. Don't forget this game on tonight. First pitch, 6:40 p.m., Apple TV. Heidi, thank you so much.
Thanks, Heidi.
My pleasure. My pleasure. We've got a lot of fun stuff planned for the game tonight. We get to talk to Julio Rodriguez in game. He's going to be one of our mic'd up talkback players, I think, in the second inning. So looking forward to that. We're talking to Tatis as he takes the field. I get Cal Raleigh for the pregame show. We always have the manager interviews. So we've got a lot of bells and whistles for tonight's game. So make sure you tune in.
Star-studded. Thanks, Heidi.
Exciting.
Thanks, guys.
Again, first pitch at 6:40. 4-down territory coming your way next.
After a tough homestand,
Next offer to Jude, swinging a well-hit ball deep to left field. The Yankees have the lead.
the first-place Mariners are back on the road, where they've been at their best so far this season. Call them the Road Warriors.
In the clutch.
Tonight, the M's kick off a 10-game trip in the first of 3 against the Padres. First pitch at 6:40, with Wyman and Bob taking you up to pregame at 5:30. Hear every pitch on 710 and the Seattle Sports app.
Hey, Mike Salk here, and great news. This August, luxury awaits at Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel. Yes, the hotel is finally opening. You can book now for an unforgettable summer experience at snocasino.com. Breathtaking views of the Cascades in Snoqualmie Valley, an expanded non-smoking gaming floor, awesome destination spa, a 2,000-seat entertainment space and convention center, and yes, new food venues, restaurants as well. You can book at snocasino.com. Seattle's closest. It's now Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel.
Hey, it's Graz here. Getting a quick round or range session in before work makes the day so much more fun and is a big-time stress reliever. Take advantage of one of the 11 local premier courses nearby. Inner Bay, Jackson, Bill Wright, West Seattle, Cedar Crest, Bellevue, Linwood, Walter Hall, Legion Memorial, Lake Padden, and the newest course, the Ocean Shores Golf Course. Practice on the range with Top Tracer at Jackson, Inner Bay, and Bill Wright Golf Complex. Play the courses, play virtual, play premier, premiergolfcenters.com.
There's nothing better than having a big fish on your line. You'll hear that sound a lot at Queen Charlotte Lodge. Experience a luxury resort, breathtaking wildlife, spectacular wilderness, and amazing fishing at Queen Charlotte Lodge in British Columbia. Reserve now for peak king salmon runs and plentiful halibut this May and June. At Queen Charlotte Lodge, it's fishing first class. Go to fishqcl.com. That's fishqcl.com. And remember, our dollar is worth $1.40 north of the border.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today?
My car is making this noise. Sometimes it's like doot doot, and sometimes it's like grrr.
Do you have a dash light on?
Oh yeah.
Then we don't have to listen for clues. With the free Fix Finder service, we can read a check engine, ABS, or maintenance light to find the likely fix and even recommend a local shop if you need one.
So you don't need to hear the grrr.
Not with Fix Finder. Everything you need, nothing you don't.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Get ready for Camping World's Red, White, and New Trade event, May 15th through the 18th. Get the highest value for your RV guaranteed during the biggest RV trade event of the year. Shop the best RV deals in America with new RVs starting as low as $92 a month. Get ready for the holiday weekend with up to 45% off grills and 25% off product installation. Plus, we'll have free hats, free propane refills, free food, and fun for the whole family. Don't miss the incredible Red, White, and New Trade event, May 15th through the 18th. At your local Camping World.
See dealer for full details and disclaimers.
I've always been a super athletic guy, but after I turned 40, I noticed I was slowing down. Instead of hitting the gym after work, I spent my evenings on the couch with a bag of chips. I was gaining weight, losing muscle, and when I did try to work out, I ran out of energy right away. One of my buddies suggested I book a free testosterone check at Revive Health. And that's when I learned that low T doesn't just impact how guys perform in the bedroom. I worked with a provider to create my custom treatment plan, and today I'm feeling stronger than ever. Last week, I even set a new PR at the gym. My only regret is not reaching out sooner.
If you're ready to book your free T-check, visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com or call 206-529-1111. Again, that's 206-529-1111.
The Bump and Stacy Show is powered in part each day by the caring and compassionate team at Pendergast Law Personal Injury Lawyers. Go to pendergastlaw.com.
Hey, Riverside Roofing is offering $1,000 off a new replacement right now. That's huge, $1,000 off. Quite the incentive for homeowners to book their roof replacement right now. It's Mike Salk here, and it really is a great time to do it. These days are getting long, right? Sunsets after 8 o'clock. Crews can get your roof done quick. So take advantage now before demand spikes this summer, making those repairs costly and time-consuming as well. Here's what you got to do to claim your $1,000 off from Riverside Roofing. Book a free estimate from the website, riversideroofingllc.com. LLC.com, and then you'll meet with Brandon. That's Don's son. Just tell him you heard the message here on the radio station. $1,000 back in your pocket, and yes, a brand new roof over your head. And while you're there, ask Brandon about their 35 years of local experience, GAF Master Elite certification, which puts them in the top 3% of roofers in the nation, and of course the catch-all system, which they use to keep your yard and driveway totally free of debris like nails or shingles. Go to riversideroofingllc.com. Remember, Riverside Roofing is the roofing company you can trust.
The first Mariners fireworks night is coming up, and we're starting things off with a bang. Be here on Friday, May 30th for our K-Pop fireworks show, presented by T-Mobile, after the team takes on the Twins at 7:10.
Jorge Polanco, his second home run of the night. He is absolutely on fire.
Get ready for an epic dance party as we light up the sky with a post-game show powered by the biggest global hits, fireworks, and Mariners baseball. That's 2 spectacular shows in one unforgettable night.
JP with a flip, and they got him at first base. How in the world?
Visit Mariners.com/fireworks to get your tickets and see the complete lineup of all 6 Mariners fireworks nights this summer, including a sing-along show on June 13th and a patriotic palooza on July 3rd. Plus, check out everything else on deck at T-Mobile Park, like 3 straight Mariners value games against the Orioles starting Tuesday, June 3rd. Mariners baseball. Try dance up.
Brought to you by Integrated Rehabilitation Group.
This is 4 down territory, going inside the game with former Seahawks and Coug wide receiver Michael Bumpus.
All right, Stacy, you're filling in for Bump today. First down to you. Now, yesterday, you were getting a ton of flack.
Attacked.
From every angle.
Just horrible people.
The trolls, they came out with pitchforks in hand. You were getting a ton of flack yesterday for your win-loss prediction,
yes.
which, mind you, we've only known the schedule for like 48 hours.
Well,
you were getting,
Yeah.
What? Explain yourself.
Okay, so I'm here to defend me and my family. Okay.
Yeah.
No, I wanted to dive a little more into it because first of all, I'm going to start by saying, on sports radio, no matter what, no matter who you are, people are just going to find a way to disagree with you. So I could have said, oh my God, they're going to win every single game, and I would have been a dumb cheerleader homer.
Oh, yeah. What do you mean they're going to go 17-0? You don't know ball.
And honestly, look, I think I've come to find this out after 5 years that there are some people I'm never going to win over ever, no matter what I do. They're just going to be like, you don't belong here. But whatever. That being said.
But they're tuning in.
I put myself out there, and I made it kind of a very specific, bold prediction, because if it's right, it's kind of like when you do a parlay and you're like, wow, I feel so cool. I just thought, why not just go with my first thought for each of these games? And I ended up 4-3 entering the bye. So this is what I did. I gave them a win in week 1 because I want to win in week 1.
Sure.
So why not? And then I felt like giving a nod to a team like Tampa Bay that was in the playoffs last year and has had solid production from its own offense. It was a loss that kind of made sense. Okay, sure, why not? Seattle typically does beat the Arizona Cardinals on the road, but I had them winning their first 3 games, so I just threw in a random week 4 loss to a road divisional opponent who could take a step forward. Why not? Then it was between Jacksonville and Houston. Jacksonville felt like it should be a loss because of what we know to be true about the Jags historically, but they've got a new head coach, new scheme. Maybe by week 6 they're cooking. You never know. Maybe by week 6 they're cooking, and Trevor Lawrence is looking improved in an early start, and maybe that 10 a.m. road game gets the better of Seattle. So I gave Seattle a win against, instead, a really solid Houston Texans defense. I thought that was a good pick. It's all fun, games, speculation. We're just kind of guessing.
Right.
And look, if they lose to the 49ers in week 1 or beat the Jags, then my prediction's wrong. But I thought it would be really fun to just kind of randomly spit out, a win here, a loss there, and roll the dice and see if you're right. And that's just kind of what I settled on. So it's really not that serious.
Us have fun.
Oh my God. Of course you're going to get people that are like, who gave her a job? And it's like, look, if your job as a sports person was to correctly guess a win or a loss every single time,
no one would have a job.
No one would be employed.
No one would have a job.
Honestly, my job is to get you to comment if we want to be so for real. So mission accomplished.
Second down. Okay, Stacy, outside of special teams, which has the second highest cap hit in all the NFL, that's the Seahawks special teams unit.
So the Seahawks...
Only one position group has a cap hit in the top 10 of the NFL. Which one is it?
Okay, so if you were to think to yourself right now, and Curtis had thrown you this question, it's like a trivia question, so pretend you're guessing, and Curtis says, okay, one position group outside of special teams on the Seahawks roster has a top 10 cap hit. What is it? You're probably thinking maybe defensive line?
Sure,
maybe
Leonard Williams,
you're
DeMarcus Lawrence.
Right, maybe you're
paid.
thinking
Jaron Reed.
okay, it's not wide receiver anymore. It's maybe not your defensive backs because they're so young. So you're probably going defensive line, and then you're thinking oh, is it the offensive line? No. Running backs? No. Tight ends? Yes.
Wow.
Tight end. So, again, if you thought of this immediately because you went to Noah Fant's contract, then congratulations. You were quick to pick up on that. But I wanted to talk about it for a little bit because tight end, investment and production, is an area where Seattle's flown under the radar and quietly been kind of unproductive. And look, I'm not sitting here going, give John Schneider flack for this. I don't know that it's cost them a ton of games or whatever. I find it very interesting that Jimmy Graham, easily the most controversial tight end this team has had, probably the most hated tight end that this team has had, by far, and it's not close, the most productive. Meanwhile, if I were to say, think of a tight end that you'd love to have on this team, you're going to get like Will Disley or Zach Miller, both of whom were very well liked by fans, but just not that productive in the same way. Now, you got different tight ends we're talking about. In an ideal world, I want both. I want the guy who's going to be great at blocking. Maybe he's going to have 2-3 touchdowns, but he's like a blocking tight end, maybe a more complete tight end. But in 2025 NFL offenses, I am okay having an NFL tight end that is almost primarily a pass catcher. Yes, he can block. Yes, he makes you more dynamic and is really versatile that way. But, he does not have to go out there and be Zach Miller. I'm okay with him getting 9 touchdowns. That would be awesome to me. I'm okay with him getting close to 1,000 yards. Yes, please. I'll take that. In Seattle, not only hasn't been able to really find that guy, but is kind of paying guys to be close to that aren't. It's a weird situation at tight end.
Third down. Stacey, what repeating theme did you see rear its head again during Brock and Salk's interview with Pete Carroll the other day?
Something you and I have talked a lot about, Curtis, is the idea of Pete guys and John guys, and it's something that a lot of people have wondered. And John Schneider, on the John Schneider show, I think last year.
It was 2024.
2024, kind of pushed back on that and said, look, when guys were in this building, they were Seahawks. There were no Pete guys, were no John guys. It feels like the story is shifting a little bit since then. This was Pete.
And, John got his chance. I told him the first day we ever talked that I was going to help him be the best general manager in the history of professional sports. I was a little lofty, a little lofty at the time. He was like 38 at the time. He's looking at me like, what the heck is this guy saying? But I meant it, really. And so I think that through the time, he has developed, it was kind of his turn. And there was a lot of big changes that were going to happen and that were going to, they were going to have to come. And I thought, we might not agree on all of those changes, because I was going to hang with some guys more than maybe he would at the time, and the changes they made have obviously turned out great. They got a good coach and a good staff, and they're rolling, and so more power to them.
Whether it's coaches, whether it's players, I think it's very natural to expect that John and Pete would have favored some different guys. And I would imagine that there were some position coaches, for instance, that were here that John was like, I feel like they're not getting the most out of the guys that I'm drafting. Maybe some guys that were drafted that Pete really believed in and really wanted to get on this team that John thought, I'm like iffy on this guy. I might want someone else, but whatever you think. So I think that we're just continuing to see that trend. It's not a bad thing. It doesn't have to be a bad thing. I think it's just become clear that it's a thing, and it's okay to admit that.
Fourth down. Stacey, we've had now a couple days to observe the schedule. What do you like most about Seattle's 2025 schedule?
I can't find a single thing to complain about. I really cannot.
It's a pretty dang good schedule.
You already knew that you would have some favorable opponents. You get a chance to play the AFC South. You know that you are gonna, obviously face, some NFC South teams in there as well. And I found it to be, John Boyle said this the other day, really balanced. So it's not like you've got this really tough stretch of road games or this really unfair slate of why do we have 3 primetime games nestled right here? If you're going to complain about anything, you'd say something like, why do the Atlanta Falcons have more primetime games than the Seattle Seahawks? That's weird. Who asked for that many primetime Falcon games? I don't know. Like, you can find something if you wanted to be creative. Maybe it's 10 a.m. starts. But my favorite thing personally, in addition to it being a schedule where I can't find anything wrong, is the timing of the bye week. If I were to pick the toughest part of the schedule, I would look at 2 road games over 3 weeks against the Washington Commanders and the Los Angeles Rams. Your bye week is right before that stretch of play, right in the middle of your season. I'm always a fan of a week 8 bye or later, and so this is perfect to me when it comes to the Seattle Seahawks. Timeline coming your way next.
Brock and Salk.
The great Daniel Jeremiah.
Hey, by the way, there's a lot, I did not know this, but there are a lot of transplants from Seattle down in San Diego and Southern California. And I've had a handful of people that I'm friends with that listen religiously to your show on the app down here. So
I'll tell you what,
you guys for making me popular in my friend group.
The day I get fired or retire, I will be joining you and all of those expats in San Diego.
Brock and Salk, morning 6 to 10 on Seattle Sports.
Welcome to IRG Sports Injury Update. We're with Shannon O'Kelly, physical therapist and president of IRG Physical and Hand Therapy. And our guest, Dr. Grant Garcia, orthopedic surgeon and sports medicine specialist at Proliance Surgeons, orthopedic specialists of Seattle.
Dr. Garcia, MCL sprains, what are they?
So MCL sprains, you can have 3 grades, 1, 2, and 3. It's the ligament on the outside of the knee. This is what DK Metcalf had. I think it was a grade 1. So yeah, we treat them various ways based off the grade of the sprain.
Generally speaking, just talk about the grades real quick. Grade 1 is minor, grade 3 is severe. What about treatment?
Treatment, usually we do about 2 weeks per grade. Even if a grade 3 happens, we've had players have this before, they can still get back without surgery. So you're probably going to see hopefully DK Metcalf back in the next week or so. It's about 2 weeks, like I said, per grade. So 6 weeks on a grade 3.
How are they generally diagnosed? Obviously, there's a mechanism of injury, but what do you have in your toolbox to diagnose these injuries, MCL sprains?
So first on the field, you got to see it pretty quickly. You can examine it, and then you can do MRI to evaluate as well.
And this is when the knee is pushed to the inside, what we call valgus stress, tears those ligamentous fibers. If it is a grade 3, is there ever any opportunity or time that has to have surgical intervention?
Occasionally, if it tears off, there's the proximal, that's the higher part, and the distal, that's off the tibia. If you tear off distally, it depends on the athlete. If there's anything associated with it, we will consider fixing those sometimes. But that's more of a controversial topic.
There you go. Everything you need to know about the MCL ligament and sprain or injuries. Dr. Garcia, thank you very much for your time.
Thanks for having me.
If you'd like to get in touch with Dr. Grant Garcia at Orthopedic Specialist of Seattle in Ballard and Wallingford, visit orthopedicspecialistsofseattle.com.
With over 40 neighborhood clinics around Washington, IRG has you covered. Let IRG be your family's physical therapist. Find the location nearest you at irgpt.com. That's irgpt.com.
Attention! If you owe money to the IRS, this is an urgent message. The IRS is cracking down by sending out collection letters, garnishing paychecks, seizing bank accounts, and putting liens on homes and businesses. They call it enforced compliance, and you better watch out because penalties and interest on unpaid taxes compound daily, making it even harder to get out of debt. Don't let tax debt destroy your life. You need to call Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax resolution firm. They're experts in taxpayer assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, Optima's resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. Let them fight on your behalf, helping to put your tax problems to rest. Call the tax professionals at Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Synthetic Turf Northwest is now open in Fife, the South Sound headquarters for premium synthetic turf. They help homeowners with a turnkey solution, DIYers, and contractors and landscapers needing quality products. With premium turf in stock, expert advice, and pro installation services, everything you need is under one roof. Visit their new showroom off I-5 in Fife. Synthetic Turf Northwest. Supplies and installation expertise all in one place. Mention radio for up to $1,000 off. SyntheticTurfNorthwest.com.
Heading outdoors or on the water this weekend? Check in with Joey and Nelly on the Outdoor Line from 6 to 8 a.m. every Saturday on Seattle Sports and the Seattle Sports app.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today?
My car is making this noise. Sometimes it's like doot doot, and sometimes it's like grrr.
Do you have a dash light on?
Oh yeah.
Then we don't have to listen for clues. With the free Fix Finder service, we can read a check engine, ABS, or maintenance light to find the likely fix and even recommend a local shop if you need one.
So you don't need to hear the grrr.
Not with Fix Finder. Everything you need, nothing you don't.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Get ready for Camping World's Red, White, and New Trade event, May 15th through the 18th. Get the highest value for your RV guaranteed during the biggest RV trade event of the year. Shop the best RV deals in America with new RVs starting as low as $92 a month. Get ready for the holiday weekend with up to 45% off grills and 25% off product installation. Plus, we'll have free hats, free propane refills, free food, and fun for the whole family. Don't miss the incredible Red, White, and New Trade event, May 15th through the 18th. At your local Camping World.
See for full details and disclaimers.
This is the story of the one. As a safety manager at a manufacturing plant, he does everything he can to keep his coworkers safe. From finding ways to reduce risks to keeping safety supplies in stock. And for that, he relies on Grainger. Grainger offers a broad range of quality products and next-day delivery, so he can always play it safe. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Get ready for Camping World's Red, White, and New Trade event, May 15th through the 18th. Get the highest value for your RV guaranteed during the biggest RV trade event of the year. Shop the best RV deals in America with new RVs starting as low as $92 a month. Get ready for the holiday weekend with up to 45% off grills and 25% off product installation. Plus, we'll have free hats, free propane refills, free food, and fun for the whole family. Don't miss the incredible Red, White, and New Trade event, May 15th through the 18th at your local Camping World.
See for full details and disclaimers.
This is The Timeline
with Bump and Stacy.
Brought to you by 1-800-DUI-AWAY.
It is The Timeline on Bump and Stacy. Curtis Rogers in for Michael Bumpus today.
Hey.
Bears head coach Ben Johnson responded to the Caleb Williams bombshell story with Colin Cowherd on Thursday. Before I get to Ben Johnson's sound, a reminder for anyone who's not quite sure what this story is about, in case you missed it. There's a new book coming out from ESPN's Seth Wickersham, and it details the quarterback position, and it covers a lot of different categories. I personally think it sounds like a really interesting read. It's not out until September, though. But they released some excerpts from it, or just like, hey, this story's in it, as a way to tease it. And the story that they released was an exclusive that Caleb Williams and his father did not want Caleb to go to the Bears, and were trying to, Eli Manning their way out of it. Whether it was going to be demanding the Bears trade him or trade the pick, whether it was going to be not declaring for the draft, going to the UFL, and then becoming a free agent and signing with a team. They got lawyers involved. Like, they were trying to figure out everything they could do to get Caleb not with the Bears. And one of the reasons that Caleb didn't want to go with the Bears, in addition to their history of not really supporting quarterbacks, never having a 4,000-yard passer, is that he didn't think that he would succeed with the coaching staff and the coordinator that was there. So, new head coach Ben Johnson asked about all of this controversy. He had nothing to do with it, obviously, but asked about this.
During the turbulence of this season, and there will be, your division's too good. There's too many good teams on the schedule. How do you ensure he doesn't lose faith and belief in your system?
You talk about fears, and I don't see it quite the same way. I see this as what a great opportunity we have to do something that really has never been done. There hasn't been a 4,000-yard passer here in this franchise, and I think Caleb's going to be the first one, and one of many years, many seasons to come where he's able to accomplish that feat. So I see a chance for greatness here for him. He's been communicated that way, and he feels the same way. I don't know what's gone on prior to him joining the organization, but he is very proud to be a Chicago Bear. That's what our conversations have included, and he's really excited to get to work right now and be the best version of himself for 2025.
How would you handle this situation, and Caleb Williams, were you Ben Johnson, Curtis?
If I'm Ben Johnson, I just invite Caleb Williams into my office and be like, hey, man, like, I am not Matt Eberflus. I am not Shane Waldron. Like, I am completely different to what those guys were. And I think our goals and what you want to accomplish and what I want to accomplish are the same.
Mm-hmm.
I want to coach the best offense in football, and you want to be the best quarterback in football. So let's help each other get to where we want to go. And I think the Bears have done a really good job considering, what they had to work with this offseason in building up that offensive line. They've got a really good wide receiver room. You draft Roma Dunze last year. You draft Luther Burden this year. I mean, look, the Bears have done, I think, a pretty stand-up job of getting Caleb Williams the help that I think he really wanted before his first season.
I think maybe you communicate also the idea of what adversity can do for a player, and that some of the best quarterbacks ever were drafted with the number 1, 2, 3 pick to teams that needed a lot of help, and they were strong enough mentally, a good enough player to work their way through and take that organization to a Super Bowl. And because of that, they're legends. You know what I mean? They're untouchable. And again, people remember quarterbacks, coaches for saving teams more than they do for coming into a great situation. And one thing, and Bump talked about this yesterday too, that you want to convey to Caleb, and it seems like that Caleb realized as part of this process, based on Seth's quotes, is this isn't going to be easy.
Right.
I know that you want to go to a team that has all the weapons in the world and it's a playoff team and you'll feel really supported, but you're here. You're here because you're good and because we were bad.
Right.
Let's meet in the middle. But this adversity makes you a stronger player. And I think that is something that it sounds like Caleb has recognized, but that maybe some players don't at first. I mean, God, we were just talking about, we're not saying Ben Williamson hasn't, but that sometimes a lot of young players thrive and succeed and push through the lower levels, and that could include D1 programs or the minors. And then they get to a challenge and they haven't been challenged that way before.
Right.
They haven't been made to feel really uncomfortable and like a failure.
I think, man, just knowing what we all know now after this Wickersham story, I think Ben Johnson has to make sure that Caleb Williams is obviously feeling like he's being hurt. But also, if I'm the Bears, what was it that kept Matt Eberflus around for as long as he was around? I feel like you had the chance to hire Ben Johnson the year prior. Had you moved on from Eberflus and his coaching
weird
staff?
Loyalty. You know how some organizations like the Bengals are like this?
Maybe.
They just kind of stick with who they stick with.
Well, and it was one. Didn't we have a story a few months ago where it was the last 4 or 5 Bears head coaches have all come from the same agency? I think Ben Johnson was the first that didn't come from that agency, and that agency belonged to a former Bears player. They are a very loyal franchise, I feel like, in terms of keeping it in the family, because they're owned by the same family that owned them at the start of the franchise, the Hallis family. I wonder if the loyalty maybe extended a little too far with Matt Eberflus. But also, and as the text line has pointed out, this is not the first time a rookie quarterback has gone to a city that he was not really thrilled to be going to. Joe Burrow in Cincinnati, there was a lot of whispers that his dad did not want him to play for the Bengals. And obviously Joe Burrow has voiced his frustrations every now and then with how things operate in Cincinnati, but he got Jamar Chase paid. He got T. Higgins paid. We'll see with Trey Hendrickson, but he's got a pretty enviable situation in terms of receiver talent to throw to. I also think a little further back, I watched the 30 for 30 about the Buffalo Bills' 4 straight Super Bowl losses. It starts with Jim Kelly in a TV interview saying how much he does not want to go to Buffalo and rather play in the USFL. And he does play in the USFL, but then once that league folds, he ends up in Buffalo and is, dragging his heels all throughout and ends up being one of the greatest players in franchise history. He goes to the Hall of Fame and is beloved in Buffalo now. So these things can change pretty quickly.
Last story, you're not going to believe this. Deion Sanders loved Mel Kiper's draft coverage.
No way.
At Deion Sanders on X. He retweeted Mel Kiper Jr., who got into it the other day with a report that Mario Cristobal was upset with Mel Kiper's coverage, saying Mel Kiper focused way too much on Shedeur Sanders and not enough on Cam Ward. Mel Kiper said, I had Cam ranked as the 6th player on my big board, which is higher than most people had him. I didn't talk to Deion Sanders about Shedeur. It's not like I was, having like specialized coverage. Okay. Deion Sanders said, "But I love you, my man. You stood on the desk with great balance, 10 toes down, and said what you doggone said and didn't flinch. You knew what time it was, my man, and we're blessed to be right where God wanted us to be with opportunity. They forget I was in the TV entertainment business for 20 years before coaching." Prayer emoji, and then 2 memojis.
2 memojis, not just one, but 2. I can see why Deion Sanders loved Mel Kiper's draft coverage, because it was all about Shedeur Sanders. It was all about how amazing Shedeur was and how it was a travesty that Shedeur fell to the 5th round.
Yeah.
It's not a shock there.
Time for the IRG Injury Report, brought to you by IRG Physical and Hand Therapy. Justin Hollander gave us a few updates earlier this week on the Mariners' trio of injured starting pitchers. He said that Bryce Miller's injury is in the back of his arm, nothing UCL related, so that's good news. He's also expected to be back relatively soon, like at the end of that 15-day IL stint, as opposed to much longer than that. George Kirby's next rehab start is today. No guarantees, though, that he's going to be activated afterwards. Justin saying, don't forget, he didn't have a spring training, so he's going to need a little extra time. Lastly, he said Logan Gilbert threw a bullpen the other day at 90% effort, looked and felt pretty good. Seattle Times' Adam Jude joins us next.
After a tough homestand.
Next offer to Judd, swinging a well-hit ball deep to left field. The Yankees have the lead.
The first-place Mariners are back on the road, where they've been at their best so far this season. Call them the Road Warriors.
In the clutch.
Tonight, the M's kick off a 10-game trip in the first of 3 against the Padres. First pitch at 6:40, with Wyman and Bob taking you up to pregame at 5:30. Hear every pitch on 710 and the Seattle Sports app.
Yeah, I have a ton of really memorable customers. One of my favorite customers I've ever had, he came in and had a really bad experience with several different dealerships. He just lost his husband. His husband left him with a truck, and he was like, I don't need a truck. Like, this is so impractical for me. And it was a really emotional decision for him, because it was one of the last things that he had, obviously husbands. We were like, it's no problem. Like, we're going to help you. And we did the process the same way that we always do the process, and we helped him trade in his truck for a beautiful new Rogue, and that was really cool. And he bought his second car from us, and I'm sure when he needs a third car, he'll come back and buy his third car from Nissan too. Afterwards, to thank us, he sent us this beautiful basket of like candies and fruits and stuff.
Making a great day for the people around you is making a great day for yourself. The LJ way is the Lee Johnson Auto family.
Hey guys, did you know that half of men over age 50 have erectile dysfunction on some level? Whether you have mild, moderate, or severe ED, West Coast Men's Health can help. We don't prescribe pills and hope they work. Instead, we treat the root cause of the problem with acoustic wave therapy, which breaks down plaque, unclogs arteries, and restores blood flow. We have treated thousands of men across our 11 locations nationwide and have established ourselves as a leader in the industry. So whether you have ED, Peyronie's disease, or suffer from chronic pain, such as neuropathy, carpal tunnel, or Dupuytren's contracture, West Coast Men's Health can help. No pills, no shots, no surgery, just results.
With clinics in Redmond and Tacoma, call West Coast Men's Health at 206-519-6541. That's 206-519-6541. 206-519-6541. Online at westcoastmenshealth.com.
Got neighbors? Big Trees can help. This is Nancy Penrose, owner of Big Trees in Snohomish. If you've been considering planting trees to add privacy, look no further than Big Trees. Privacy trees fill in empty spaces, help to define property lines, and add curb appeal. Learn more about Big Trees' big supply of privacy trees at bigtreesupply.com.
Beauty, privacy, instantly. Big Trees.
Are you curious about who offers the best deals on top-rated Samsung, LG, and Sony TVs? The answer is surprising. It's not online, and it's not the warehouse clubs. The best deals on top-rated TVs are at Video Only. Don't believe it? Then check out the trade-in deals at Video Only. How about $500 for your old TV? Try doing that online. Before you buy that new TV, drop into Video Only. If you don't, you'll be sorry.
Upgrade your home cooling before the summer heat with Home Comfort Alliance and save up to $6,000 while taking 18 months to pay with zero interest. Visit HomeComfortAlliance.com. That's HomeComfortAlliance.com.
Discover LeMay, America's Car Museum in Tacoma. Explore 300 world-class cars, 100 years of history, and the Shinka exhibit with 50 iconic Japanese sports cars. Thrilling race simulators and fun for the whole family. Visit AmericasCarMuseum.org.
Hey, it's Graz here. Getting a quick round or range session in before work makes the day so much more fun and is a big-time stress reliever. Take advantage of one of the 11 local premier courses nearby. Inner Bay, Jackson, Bill Wright, West Seattle, Cedar Crest, Bellevue, Linwood, Walter Hall, Legion Memorial, Lake Padden, and the newest course, the Ocean Shores Golf Course. Practice on the range with Top Tracer at Jackson, Inner Bay, and Bill Wright Golf Complex. Play the courses, play virtual, play premier, premiergolfcenters.com.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today?
My car is making this noise. Sometimes it's like doot doot, and sometimes it's like grrr.
Do you have a dash light on?
Oh yeah.
Then we don't have to listen for clues. With the free Fix Finder service, we can read a check engine, ABS, or maintenance light to find the likely fix and even recommend a local shop if you need one.
So you don't need to hear the grrr.
Not with Fix Finder. Everything you need, nothing you don't.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Do you find yourself stuck in a timeshare? Get the real facts about the timeshare industry and your options for cancellation. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, has put together a free information guide that reveals the secrets the timeshare industry doesn't want you to know, including the 5 ways to get rid of your timeshare. Call now and get this timeshare cancellation guide absolutely free.
Call 800-838-6161. That's 800-838-6161. 800-838-6161.
Let's go! This is Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app.
KIRO AM Seattle. KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma. Home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports. Seattle Sports Snapshot.
The Mariners are looking for a series win after dropping 2 series, and they get a chance this weekend. It'll have to come against a tough opponent, though. They're going to begin a road trip with the series against the San Diego Padres tonight. First pitch is 6:40 p.m. This one is Friday Night Baseball on Apple TV. There is a stream, of course, on Seattle Sports with the pregame show beginning on Seattle Sports at 5:30 p.m.
Snapshot, brought to you by Miller Lite. When it's game time, it's Miller time. From the Quantum Fiber Studio,
this is Bump and Stacy
on Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app and at seattlesports.com.
Now, here are your hosts, Michael Bumpus and Stacy Ross.
Here we go now. Seattle Times, Adam Jude joining us now on the Emerald Queen Casino Sportsbook Hotline. Adam, how's it going?
Fantastic. Hello from beautiful San Diego. I can rub it in if you want.
No, please do. No, can you set the scene? Yeah. We're okay feeling jealous. Let us know how it looks out there. What are you looking at, Adam?
It's perfect. For someone like me, a Northwest native, I'm pretty soft, I'll admit it. So 68, sunny is absolutely perfect for me. If it starts to touch 80 or whatever, I think I'll melt.
Yeah,
so,
same.
I'm absolutely fired up for this series. My first time actually covering the team in San Diego, and it's going to be a great atmosphere. I think they have some crazy sellout streak going, or at least they did for a long time, and expecting a great atmosphere all 3 games here at Petco Park.
I love it. So I'm with Curtis Rogers today, and we have some specific questions about this series, but I'm going to start with an overarching question, Adam. If this series against the Yankees was just about 2 teams that hit a lot of bombs, and then will the pitching hold up, what's this series against the Padres about?
Ooh, yeah, still the same thing. I think the Mariners – at this point are kind of just in survival mode, right? With the way the rotation is right now, you got Logan Evans and Emerson Hancock these first 2 games, and we know the Padres can hit. They've got a really stacked lineup, particularly the top half of their lineup. Fernando Tatis is playing like an MVP right now. Manny Machado is a future Hall of Famer. They got Luis Ariz, who just hits the ball all over the field. They're going really well right now, and then their pitching has maybe been one of the most underrated stories in baseball so far, too. So the Mariners have their hands full. The Padres look like they're going to challenge the Dodgers all season in that rugged NL West. And, if the Mariners can just kind of survive, if they can hang tight, if they can somehow manage, I think tonight's probably the best matchup against Padres pitcher Stephen Kolek. if the Mariners can squeeze one out today, and then you've got Brian Wu going on Sunday, I think that's their best bet. But just given the news this week with Bryce Miller, I think the Mariners are still sort of in survival mode at this point, trying to tread water, keep things afloat until their starting rotation can come back intact. They're hoping in the next few weeks.
You mentioned survival mode a couple times there, and I think that's a very apt way to put where the Mariners are. So with that being said, Adam, Stacy and I, we talked about to lead off the show, like how long can you continue to run out this roster with all the guys that are hurt right now, or are the Mariners going to be maybe forced to go out and make a move a little earlier than maybe they're comfortable with?
Yeah, I think everything's on the table, right? If there's a move to be made, and I don't even know where you'd point to right now specifically, but if there's a move that's out there, an opportunity that presents itself, I think the Mariners certainly would look at it and explore it. And we know that they have the prospects to go swing a big deal. But I just don't know when you look at the landscape of baseball and what it's become in this new wild card era the last few years, just what is that move out there? We could throw some names out there. Again, they're going to go to Chicago and see Luis Robert with the White Sox here, but do you really need – are you going to go out and probably have to overpay for a guy like that here in May to play right field when you're hoping Victor Robles and will come back after the All-Star break? You're hoping Luke Raley is back in the next 3 or 4 weeks. Is that the move that they need to make right now? Again, maybe that is the right move. Maybe they need to look at that. I advocated for that, last summer, and then they went out and got basically a very comparable player in Randy Arozarena. But I think they have to consider everything. At the same time, when they look at the AL West and they're still in first place, you look at the rough week they've had, and they still find themselves in first place. They're still hanging in there, still treading water. They look at the AL West and they go, look, we don't need to go out and make a desperate move right now. We're good enough to kind of hang tight. And see what can happen if George Kirby comes back in the next week, if they can get Bryce Miller and Logan Gilbert back too. All of a sudden your rotation is back and you feel like you can make a good push there in the second half of the season. So again, they're in survival mode, but are they at that point where they're really desperate to go out and do something? I suggest they're not quite there yet.
Hey, when we're looking at the current options, particularly with your infield, I wanted Adam kind of a refresher on how we're viewing these guys when we're judging decisions made by Dan, right? When we're looking at decisions he's making with pinch hitting or the lineup or defensive substitutions. I want some context. So the question that I'm trying to ask is, where are the strengths right now? Like, who are the guys that you really want to get them out there as much as you can? And who are the guys that, you're maybe looking to supplement with?
Yeah, it's a good question, and it's an evolving question. Part of that, again, just based on the health, part of it based on performance, right? I've been getting a lot of questions lately about Leo Ribas. Yes. Why is Leo Ribas in the lineup more often? And I do think it's a fair question as well. Ribas had a nice start to the season when he came back, but I do think it's worth reminding folks, like, Leo Ribas didn't make the opening day roster for a reason, right? He's more of a utility guy. To me, he's the best overall defensive infielder that they have on this team, and that's someone who I think that's coming from someone who would tell you that J.P. Crawford is maybe the most underrated defensive shortstop in baseball. I just think Ribas is that good. He's that versatile, and he gives you that switch hit tool too. But again, it's Dan Wilson is going to put out the best lineup he can every day, right? They have way more metrics. They're watching way more intently than any of us are. So it's not like he's putting Miles Mastrobuoni in there because he thinks he's a lesser player than Leo Ribas. It's obviously the exact opposite. That said, I have been a little surprised that Ribas hasn't been in there a little bit more, just considering, the quality of at-bats, the on-base, and the defense he gives you. But they clearly like something that Mastrobuoni is doing. He's also giving you those quality at-bats and obviously a good option against right-handed pitching. He's got the versatility to play second base, third base as well. So, yeah, that's an ongoing question that we'll see how they employ Ribas here this weekend. And then, everyone wants to point to first base too. Rowdy Tellez has been better after a slow start. So I don't think we're going to see any changes there specifically with Rowdy. But Donovan Solano clearly has not produced like the Mariners had hoped he would, even in limited playing time, against left-handed pitching. He's really struggled. So it'll be curious. I posed that a question last week in the paper. How much longer can they hold on to Donovan Solano when they have a guy in Tyler Locklear raking down in Tacoma, a young guy who, the Mariners really like as an organization. He flashed some promise last year in limited time with the Mariners, and I do expect at some point we'll see Tyler Locklear, especially if Donovan Solano continues to struggle like this. So, yeah, again, injuries are a big part of it. Performance is certainly part of it too, but just given where they are, I do think Dan Wilson obviously shows that he prefers Miles Mastroboni at this point.
One of those injuries that popped up on Wednesday was J.P. Crawford getting scratched right before first pitch. Anything you've heard on that shoulder discomfort he's been experiencing?
Nothing new, nothing specific on that just yet. Obviously, the off day, travel day yesterday, and I'll be heading to the ballpark here shortly, and that's going to be one of the first questions, certainly. But obviously, the Mariners are hoping that's just something that whether they slept on it wrong or just feeling some discomfort, and they wanted to give him, a couple days off with the off day yesterday too. I haven't heard anything specific. Again, I haven't heard. I think the encouraging news there is that I haven't heard it's anything significant. So my expectation at this point is JP will be back in the lineup tonight, but again, haven't heard that solidly at this point.
Just kind of an overview of the bullpen. Any one name, I can guess where you're going to go, that's really, really surprised you and had such a solid start, and anyone else you have a question about?
Ooh, so funny. My flight down yesterday, I was on the flight with Matilda, Andres Munoz's cat, and his brother and his wife. So that was pretty fun catching up with them a little bit and seeing Matilda and her travel case and all that. So, obviously Munoz has been, he's been the best reliever in baseball so far this season, has not allowed an earned run yet. And it's really intriguing. I had some questions right away, in the eighth inning on Wednesday when, you're in a tie game and here comes Aaron Judge leading off the eighth inning. I thought maybe in the past Scott Service might have brought in Andres Munoz there in a high leverage situation to face the middle of the lineup, to face the best hitter on the planet right now in Aaron Judge. Dan Wilson is going to do things a little bit differently. He's already shown that consistently in his tenure here. I think he's right about 80 games into his managerial career. And, he's shown a lot of faith in Carlos Vargas this season, and Vargas has really come through in some big spots as a young pitcher. And I think that's the one thing that we've seen consistently from Dan Wilson is he's going to believe in these guys, not just the relievers, but all these guys. Again, we talk about the Donovan Solano and the Rowdy Flats. He's going to give these guys runway to work through their struggles. Dan Wilson played, 12 years, 14 years in the big leagues. He's seen guys go through the ups and downs. He's seen it all as a player. And I think what he appreciated most as a manager, and from Lou Piniella specifically, was just the trust and belief and the faith that you get from a manager. And he's trying to pass that on to his players now too. So I think him going with Carlos Vargas there in the eighth inning against Aaron Judge is him showing some faith in a young reliever there, trying to build up his confidence. And clearly it didn't work out. Vargas hangs a slider there to Aaron Judge, and Judge hits it to Tacoma and, cost him the game there. But I think what his approach with Andres Munoz has clearly worked this year, right? It's an old school method, but we haven't seen Mooney before the ninth inning in any game this year, and clearly it's gonna stay that way. And at the same time, again, it's worked. Hasn't allowed an earned run. He's been the most dominant closer in baseball. And I think that the other benefit of that is they're trying to keep him fresher for the second half. I think the Andres Munoz we saw, particularly in August last year, but in September as well, he was kind of run down. The Mariners had used him for a ton of 4-out, 5-out save opportunities, and I think that ended up coming back to bite them a little bit at the end of the season. They're aware of that. So I think they're trying to be mindful of that here in April and May, and hoping to get the best version of Andres Munoz come August and September as well.
Adam, Brian Wu has been fantastic this season. He's been everything the Mariners could have asked of him through the season's first month and a half here. So I got a bit of a thought experiment for you. Let's say the Mariners have all 5 starting pitchers at full health right now. Yeah. Where are you going, Curtis? Who would you consider to be the ace of the staff?
That is a fun one.
Yeah.
And funny enough, I just finished a story this morning on Brian Wu and just his emergence as a staff ace. I specifically said a staff ace because clearly the Mariners have more than one when they're all healthy. But, I mean, just how important has he been considering all these injuries now? And for Wu to kind of – we saw it at the end of last year. He was really good in August and September. But for him to kind of just carry on the way he's doing, I was looking up the numbers, and he's got the lowest walk rate in baseball going back to August 1st last year. He's got the 5th most innings pitched, and there's no way we would have, predicted that a year ago at this time. He was on the injured list 3 different times his first year in the majors. So for him to be not only as productive as he is, but as durable and as dominant, again, we saw it again Tuesday night against the Yankees. He outdueled Max Fried, one of the best pitchers going right now, too. So, to me, Brian Wu should be an all-star this year. Who would start game 1 of a playoff series? Who is the true ace of the staff? Obviously depends on health, but I think absolutely Brian Wu has cemented his place in that conversation right up there with Logan Gilbert. Wu has just been that good and that dominant so far.
We were talking with Justin Hollander yesterday about when we can expect to see both Logan and Kirby back, and he's obviously going to be non-specific and he's not going to commit to a certain date. Adam, I know that you can't and you only know what they've told you, but you're also a baseball reporter, so you have a good feel for these things. When does your gut tell you we might see these two guys back?
Yeah, George Kirby, obviously he makes his 3rd rehab start tonight for Tacoma. They're in Albuquerque, which isn't the best place to pitch, but the results don't really matter if you're George Kirby. I know he gave up 3 runs in 3 innings last week in Tacoma, but I think George Kirby's treating these like spring training games, right? These are his first starts of the year. He's just trying to build up the pitch count, trying to feel good, then trying to feel good the next couple days after. And every conversation we've had with him, he's been really encouraged, really positive, and really eager to get back here and start pitching for the Mariners again. So George Kirby goes tonight. If all goes well, if there aren't any setbacks for him tonight, I do expect Kirby to be back toward the end of this road trip. I would sort of pencil in next Thursday, the opening game of the series in Houston, because Kirby's been on a 6-day schedule and they want to keep him on a 6-day schedule. So, 6 days from now is Thursday and they'll be in Houston. It's a big series. Why not go with one of your horses again and see what you got? His pitch count might only be up to 70 or 75 pitches at that point, but I think 70 or 75 pitches of George Kirby's about as good as anything that they've got right now. So, while at the same time they don't want to rush him, they don't want to, do it too soon. I think that feels appropriate, and I think George would tell you he's ready to go. Bryce was really optimistic the other day when we talked to him. He's really hopeful. It's only a 2-week stint on the injury list with his elbow inflammation. He got a cortisone shot right in his elbow, and that takes a few days to sort of take effect. So he won't throw for a few days here, as I know Justin Hollander told you guys. But we'll just have to see how that progresses. And then Logan Gilbert, again, he's already back up on the mound through his first bullpen the other day. Said he felt really good. Again, the real indication of how he feels a couple days after. But I think the fact that he had no structural damage was obviously a really promising sign for him and the team. And I wouldn't be surprised at all if Logan's itching to get back here in the next 3 or 4 weeks as well. So again, we could, as a team, the Mariners could kind of get to that mid-June point. Like I said, sort of in survival mode. If they can sort of hover around 500, not get too far out of it, you get back, 3 of your best starting pitchers and the chance to make a run before the All-Star game, I think is pretty promising for these guys.
Last one for me, Adam. Will the Seattle media corps be able to handle themselves at potentially the sight of Eddie Vedder this weekend?
That's a great question. Tim Booth is not here. He's the biggest
that's what I'd worry about.
Of anyone I know. Yes. I absolutely love Pearl Jam too, but I'm curious. I don't know officially if he's going to be here or not. I haven't heard any rumblings. That'd be a ton of fun, but hopefully, the Petco Park, the DJ here, kind of plays the part, and we get a lot of Pearl Jam over the loudspeakers this weekend. That'd be fun for sure.
Imagine if Bruce Springsteen showed up too.
Oh man!
Oh my God!
You'd have every generation of baseball writer covered in terms of favorite musician. Yeah.
And then you guys have a Pete Rose debate to have. It's just going to be a mess.
Oh,
Seattle Times reporter Adam Jude, his latest on Brian Wu up at SeattleTimes.com and the Seattle Times app. Thanks, Adam.
Thanks, Adam.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Let's get to headline rewrites.
Extra, extra, read all about it.
Headline rewrites.
We must make headlines.
The real story behind the headlines in today's news with Bump and Stacy.
The Nuggets have forced a Game 7 with their 119-107 win over Oklahoma City on Thursday. What's the real headline?
Look, if you want to steal a Seattle team, you better steal their history of heartbreak, too.
That's right. 94 belongs to OKC.
Yeah.
Doesn't belong to us anymore.
No.
That's
So guess
there.
what?
That's theirs. So it's going to repeat. It's
And
going
I
to
hope
happen
you get
again.
another one.
Exactly. I want to see Nikola Jokic sprawled out on the baseline there with the basketball in his hands,
Yeah.
just like Dikembe Mutombo back in 1994. Yeah, this is
Just thinking about, like, I'm just going to go home and watch some horse races.
Nikola Jokic loves himself some
Loves the
horses.
ponies.
He does. I love the video of him in that like horse carriage.
It's so good.
It's like how did you make one big enough for a guy who's like 7 foot 300 something pounds?
Curtis, I should have asked you this to start and been more on my game, but would you like to provide a real, sincere, short Game 7 preview for kind of what we're watching for here on Sunday?
Yeah, it's gonna be tough. It's in Oklahoma City, but Denver has played Oklahoma City very close. I think, obviously Denver has a championship pedigree with Jamal Murray and with Nikola Jokic, obviously. They've got the veteran talent over Oklahoma City, but Oklahoma City won 68 games this season. They're ridiculously talented. So I'm not feeling confident, but go Denver.
Headline rewrites.
Bill Belichick was again asked about his controversial relationship with 24-year-old Jordan Hudson on Good Morning America this morning, calling Hudson his muse.
A totally normal and not at all weird way to describe the person you're dating. She's my muse.
It makes me squirm.
Would you say Brenna's your muse?
She's my lovely wife, who I love more than anybody on this earth.
Maybe not describing people as muse.
That's, boy.
It reminds me so much of Julia Fox talking about Uncle Jams.
Uncle Jams.
And he said
the
it,
Safdie
Uncle
Brothers
Jams.
muse.
I was his muse for Uncle Jams.
Muse. God.
I love it.
It's creepy is what
The
it is.
thing is, I have to be very wary of our audience. Maybe 5% of our audience is as invested in this story as I am, so I'm trying to be
Sure.
respectful to the 95% who are not and would like for us to get to the third headline. So we'll go there now.
Headline rewrites.
The Mariners face the Padres on Apple TV Plus's Friday Night Baseball tonight. What's the real headline?
The real question isn't whether the Mariners will win, but when Wyman and Bob will find out the game is on Apple TV. Look, I love these two, and it's why I was brokenhearted to find out they already know.
Yeah.
Stop it.
I know.
Who told them?
Maybe they are coming around to the streaming games. Probably not.
I hope
heard-
they
I heard
don't. No,
them-
I love as part of their brand that they hate streaming. I want that to
Right.
stay consistent. I love that about them.
Yeah,
There's
I
so
would
many
hate-
things I love about both of them, but one of them is that, like, in my mind,
They're
you guys
adamant
hate,
against it.
adamantly hate Apple TV games.
It's
that
like,
can't change.
what is it? Like John Henry against a steam engine? Like his heart gave out.
There's just certain battles that need to be
It's
there
like,
forever.
I don't know if you guys are going to win this one,
It
but
just-
I admire you sticking to your guns.
and
in
it's
this
a
way.
rivalry that I want to exist and never go away. You
It
know
is,
what I mean?
yeah, and it's rivalry weekend across Major League Baseball. Mariners, Padres, Wyman and Bob versus streaming,
Mhm.
Yankees, Mets. It's everywhere.
And I don't want that to change.
Right.
I thought it was so you earlier let people know that obviously you can turn on the local stream
Yes.
to Seattle Sports on the app. Also, I'm going to be sure to check out some of what Heidi Watney was
Yeah.
teasing as well with interviews
She's a
on
fun
field.
interview,
And
yeah.
she said in the second, I think, with Julio, who's going to be
Julio's
mic'd
going
up.
to be interviewed.
Fernando
yeah.
Tatis is going to be interviewed, and then Cal's going to be interviewed.
Yeah.
I'm eager to hear Julio mic'd up.
I am too. Just kind of what his thought process is.
Curtis, we
out
got
in
a
center
text from
field.
Dave Wyman.
Yeah, he says he still hates it, and
Oh, good.
and not coming around.
Oh,
Still
man.
hate it.
Proud of
Love
you,
that.
Dave.
Love that for you, Dave.
That's all I want. You know what I mean? And we already my stepdad, unfortunately, just cut the cable and is now streaming. And
Right.
I fear that he's also going to start liking it. And I'm like, I kind of we need some soldiers here.
Yeah. I hate to compare Dave Wyman to any Cal Bear, but to me, this is like when Cal Stadium was undergoing renovations and a bunch of their student body ended up living in the trees around the stadiums to prevent like the bulldozers and construction workers from knocking things over. And it's like, I hate to break it to you guys, but it's gonna happen.
He hates that comparison though. He's gonna say, you mean some literal tree hugger?
Exactly. Like the bulldozer's coming. You can hang on for dear life, but eventually you're going to have to get down from that tree and put on a shirt.
NFL owners will vote on 2 big rule changes. We'll tell you what you need to know coming up next.
Wyman and Bob, afternoons 2 to 7.
The release of the Seahawks schedule, you open at home with the Niners, you close the season on the road with the Niners.
You know what's interesting about that is just that where's San Francisco going to be? I'm just curious if they're going to be able to be that team that kind of has dominated. You know, those 2 games I think are going to be really interesting just to see where the Seahawks are. I think this year the tougher challenge might be the Rams.
Dave Wyman and Bob Stelton, afternoons 2 to 7 on Seattle Sports, the app, YouTube, and your smart speaker.
Can you take the power of your home internet almost anywhere? Well, with Xfinity, you can. Do more of what you love in the places you go the most with internet and mobile together. Xfinity built a network that's 99.99% reliable. Plus, Xfinity Mobile, well, they have Wi-Fi Power Boost, giving you ultra-fast Wi-Fi at home and out on the go. So get the same reliable network in the places you need it the most. Maybe the coffee shop, the grocery store, or at the game. Whatever you're into, you'll love how fast you can do it with Xfinity Internet and mobile. And now through April 21st, get 300 megabit Xfinity Internet and 1 unlimited mobile line together for $25 a month for a year with no contract. And save $1,000 in your first year over Verizon and AT&T Plus. Ask how to get a free premium 5G phone. Visit Xfinity.com, call 1-800-XFINITY or visit a store today. Requires paperless billing and auto pay with store bank account. Restrictions apply. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra after promo. Regular rates apply. Actual speeds vary. Savings compared to Verizon 5G, Internet Plus 1 unlimited welcome line, and AT&T Internet 300 Plus 1 unlimited starter SL line. Xfinity Internet required. Reduced speeds after 30 gigabits of usage per line. Data thresholds and actual savings vary.
Need a new roof but not in the budget? A new roof doesn't have to break the bank. Justin Shirley, CEO of State Roofing and Exteriors here. Right now, State Roofing and Exteriors is offering 0 down, 0 payments, and 0 interest for up to 24 months. That's 2 years with no payments while getting the protection your home deserves. But this offer won't last forever. Call 866-ROOF-ROOF or visit stateroofing.com today to get on our summer schedule now. State Roofing and Exteriors, held to a higher standard since 1968.
Synthetic Turf Northwest is now open in Fife, the South Sound headquarters for premium synthetic turf. They help homeowners with a turnkey solution, DIYers, and contractors and landscapers needing quality products. With premium turf in stock, expert advice, and pro installation services, everything you need is under one roof. Visit their new showroom off I-5 in Fife, Synthetic Turf Northwest. Supplies and installation expertise all in one place. Mention radio for up to $1,000 off. SyntheticTurfNorthwest.com.
There's nothing better than having a big fish on your line. You'll hear that sound a lot at Queen Charlotte Lodge. Experience a luxury resort, breathtaking wildlife, spectacular wilderness, and amazing fishing at Queen Charlotte Lodge in British Columbia. Reserve now for peak king salmon runs and plentiful halibut this May and June. At Queen Charlotte Lodge, it's fishing first class. Go to fishqcl.com. That's fishqcl.com. And remember, our dollar is worth $1.40 north of the border.
During National Military Appreciation Month, we at University of Maryland Global Campus say thank you to the service members, veterans, and families who dedicate their lives to our country. We are deeply grateful. For over 75 years, UMGC has proudly served the military community, from installations overseas to the communities you call home. Wherever you serve, we stand with you. Learn more at umgc.edu/thanks. Certified to operate in Virginia by Chev.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today?
My car is making this noise. Sometimes it's like doot doot, and sometimes it's like grrr.
Do you have a dash light on?
Oh yeah.
Then we don't have to listen for clues. With the free Fix Finder service, we can read a check engine, ABS, or maintenance light to find the likely fix and even recommend a local shop if you need one.
So you don't need to hear the grrr.
Not with Fix Finder. Everything you need, nothing you don't.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Subscribe to the Seattle Sports YouTube page to find new and exclusive content from your favorite shows and personalities daily. Just head to YouTube, search Seattle Sports, and click subscribe.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today?
My car is making this noise. Sometimes it's like doot doot, and sometimes it's like grrr.
Do you have a dash light on?
Oh yeah.
Then we don't have to listen for clues. With the free Fix Finder service, we can read a check engine, ABS, or maintenance light to find the likely fix and even recommend a local shop if you need one.
So you don't need to hear the grrr.
Not with Fix Finder. Everything you need, nothing you don't.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Do you find yourself stuck in a timeshare? Get the real facts about the timeshare industry and your options for cancellation. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, has put together a free information guide that reveals the secrets the timeshare industry doesn't want you to know, including the 5 ways to get rid of your timeshare. Call now and get this timeshare cancellation guide absolutely free.
Call 800-838-6161. That's 800-838-6161. 800-838-6161.
Why'd I go to the doctor? One day at the firehouse, I was so lightheaded I could barely stand. Even my crew noticed. Getting checked out was the right call. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation, which increases the risk of stroke about 5 times.
Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness can come and go. But if it's AFib, the risk of stroke remains. If you have symptoms, contact a doctor.
I'm so glad I did.
Visit NoTimeToWait.com, sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
When might you be buzzed? When you suddenly love everything.
You guys, I love this song. I love these nachos. I love our kickball league. Ugh! I love this guy. What's your name? You know what I'd love? A ride when it's time to head out.
If you see a buzzed warning sign, call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
I love your car. Is this real leather?
From the Quantum Fiber Studio.
This is Bumpin' Stacy.
Weekdays 10 to 2.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Taking a look around the NFL, we are going to start with 2 potential rule changes. NFL owners will vote on these 2 big rule changes next week at the owners' meeting in Minneapolis. The first, playoff reseeding. So if a division winner under this rule that's being proposed has a worse record than a wild card team, that one is going to be able to host. So it would be something like the wild card Vikings would have hosted the division winner Rams, because the Rams were a 10-win team and the Vikings were a 14-win team. The second, the tush push, which will be the exact same proposal put forth by the Packers back in March. They're staying hating, and I respect them for it, even though you should not eliminate the tush push.
I think both of these I'm against. I think the tush push should stay. I think it's a very legal play. Again, if every team was good at it, then sure, there would be an issue. But not every team has the success that the Eagles do. Mm-hmm. Playoff reseeding now, it makes the divisions pointless. It makes a divisional crown meaningless, really, right, if you're not one of the actual 4 best teams in your conference, because then what's the incentive of winning your division? There really isn't one.
So further, Sports Illustrated's Albert Breer wrote there's been a slight change to the playoff reseeding proposal. I'm just going to read from his column. A change to Detroit's proposal for March is for teams to be reseeded after the first round. So in this case, the number 1 seed would play the lowest remaining seed in the conference rather than automatically facing the winner of the number 4 versus number 5 matchup, with the other 2 remaining teams playing the other divisional round game. In March, when Roger Goodell conducted an unofficial vote on the idea, only a handful of teams were ready to vote on the proposal through, but there was also new logic to the idea that teams were considering, prompting Goodell to table the official vote until May, aka now. The logic is right there in the NFL's rules proposal memo that went to clubs this week. The reason in Detroit's proposal reads competitive equity. It provides excitement and competition in late season games and rewards the best performing teams from the regular season. Equity.
I just don't see the need to punish a division winner for not being among the 4 best teams in your conference. Like, I get that the Vikings and their 13-3 record was the best record ever for a wild card team, or 14-3 record, best ever record for a wild card team. But again, they had a 15-win team in their division. Like, they weren't the best team in their division. So yes, you then go out on the road, and it's not like their path was daunting. You played a neutral site game in Arizona against the Rams, and it's not like going to the Rams building is crazy hard these days anyway. Like, the Vikings only have themselves to blame for not advancing in the playoffs last year.
Well, and guess what? Like, then advance in the playoffs. Home field advantage is, I personally
win
think
that
it's
Week
real.
18 game against the Lions.
I personally think home field advantage is real and is a factor. But you still have to be the better team and execute. It's not like it's not like we see this positive correlation between horrible teams just winning at home constantly. No. And I agree with you. And if you were, many of us are obviously a Seahawks fan, and you think, okay, let's flip it and imagine that the Seahawks had won that tiebreaker against the Rams, then the Seahawks would have been on the road against the Vikings.
Right.
So we would have been looking at a chance it would have been hosting the first playoff game since that 2020.
It would have been the 2021 playoffs. 2020
I think one
season.
of KJ's last seasons. Yeah.
It was against the Rams.
Yes,
where they got
here,
blown
and they
out.
lost.
No one was in the stands.
But that was
day.
the last, I think that's the last home playoff game.
Yes.
So it would have been all this excitement about, oh my God, you finally get a chance to have another home playoff game. Wait, you have to hit the road against a team that was second?
They have messed with the NFL playoffs already by adding the 7th team, and it kind of feels like you've already added a team that isn't that good to begin with, and have kind of watered down Wild Card Weekend in that way. And I think reseeding it would it's too much. Like, you've got a really good thing going, NFL. Don't mess with the playoff structure too much.
Let's go back to that Caleb Williams story. Seth Wickersham, who interviewed Williams for that book, told ESPN Radio this morning that he thinks the Bears could have avoided this entire fiasco by making Ben Johnson their head coach after the 2023 season.
I doubt it. I mean, they got what they wanted. They got an innovative offensive mind who's invested in Caleb's success. I think the rookie year for a quarterback is about survival. Like, not everybody has Dan Marino's year in '83 or Jaden Daniels last year. I think you're trying to survive. You take those scars from that first year and you try to become better and stay ahead of defenses. And, what he's got now is a coach who other coaches study and steal from. He's an innovative mind, and he's deeply invested in Caleb's success.
You brought this up earlier in the show, Curtis, and I agreed with you then. It's even more clear now hearing this from Seth Wickersham. What were the Bears doing not making a move prior to this season? It was evident early that this was not good.
Right, and you had a couple of years of Matt Eberflus not really showing you anything worth keeping around for very long. They went 3-14 his first season, 7-10 his second year. They get the number 1 pick thanks to the trade with Carolina, and then they go 4-8 to start the year. And then there were multiple instances during the 2024 season where it was like, I don't think Matt Eberflus has a clue about what's going on. They lose that game to the Commanders on the Hail Mary. Thanksgiving Day, how they used their timeouts late in that game was just an abomination. The Bears only did themselves more harm in keeping Matt Eberflus around for as long as they did. And good on them to recognize, like, hey, we need to move on from him. We need to move on from Shane Waldron. We need to get somebody else in here. And not only did you get somebody, you got probably the most sought-after coach in this year's coaching cycle in Ben Johnson, somebody that Caleb Williams, I'm sure, was thrilled to have in his corner. So hopefully the Bears can kind of put this behind him. I know it's going to be in the back of everyone's mind every game the Bears lose this season. Like, is Caleb pouting? Is he going to want to ask out at some point? But I mean, the best you can do right now is just kind of move forward with what you got.
I do think there's a difference between losing because you're not as good, or you made a mistake, or your team just needs to work on things, and losing because you're wholly dysfunctional. And it felt like last year when you were seeing Caleb Williams using a timeout and the rest of the coaching staff looking around because they didn't think to do it, things like that, you're thinking it's rudderless ship here. Like, this is losing because you're dysfunctional, not because you're just sincerely getting outplayed and it's not your game. So I think that it's probably easier, even for a young quarterback who hasn't struggled a ton, to recognize when, I threw a pick. Like, I made a mistake. Like, I have respect for my coach. I think he's smart. We're just a little bit behind this team.
Yeah.
Are the Steelers still sniffing around the wide receiver market after dealing George Pickens to the Cowboys? Adam Crowley of Pittsburgh's 93.7 The Fan says that Saints wide receiver Chris Olave is someone the Steelers are interested in.
Just rearranging the deck chairs, it feels like. I mean, you had two good receivers in DK and George Pickens. You then trade Pickens, get some draft capital in next year's draft. I don't know if Olave represents an upgrade over Pickens. He's kind of a different receiver than Pickens, so maybe they're looking to kind of diversify the skill sets that they have in that wide receiver room, but you still don't have a quarterback.
I want to get back to the debate quickly, not to shift gears and interrupt that thought process, about the divisional. Do you give home field advantage to a second-place team if that team has a better record than the division winner? The Vikings and Rams are just an easy example that we'll stick with. Tell me what you think about this at 253. You guys aren't making sense. Rewarding success should be the proper choice. Just because you were the best of the losers in your division shouldn't trump a better record once the second round of the playoffs start.
Okay, so
what do you feel about that?
I think winning your division is success. Like, that is a very important thing. Then why would the divisions still exist in this scenario? Like, there's no point in hanging an NFC West champions banner if you don't benefit from that. There's no point in celebrating a division. Like, if you're going to go this route, then get rid of the divisions. Have a 16-team conference in the AFC, have a 16-team conference in the NFC. The reason why divisions exist is also for scheduling purposes. You've got to have opponents that you're going to play twice a year. Without it, I mean, you could maybe then schedule 15 games against your own conference and then like 3 crossover games or whatever.
I mean, I understand. I completely understand the logic of being like, well, if the Vikings were to win and beat the Rams, and then they'd have to play on the road again as a 14-win team, I completely get it. I do want to preface by saying it is not common to have a 14-win wildcard team.
No.
And secondly, I think I think right now I still stand by the idea of if you won your division, two things are going to be rare. It's not going to be common to have that 14-win wildcard team, nor to have a team that won its division and still gets home field advantage in the second round if they win that wildcard round because they're better than the other two. Like, it's just not going to happen a ton.
Right.
Why not just have you win your division, and if in the second round you're still the highest seeded, you still get it? I don't know.
Seems like they're messing with something that doesn't need to be messed with.
I like the conversation. It's just, it depends on what your, like Curtis said, view of success or winning is. So if to you winning the division is success and winning, and you earned it, then why fight that? All right, some really good stuff from Cal Raleigh on the Cal Raleigh Show. We're going to get to that sound next.
Only Brock and Salk in Seattle sports go one-on-one with Raiders head coach Pete Carroll.
Dude, that still sounds so weird.
Are you kidding me?
Good morning, Coach. How are you?
What's happening, fellas? Nice to see you.
Nice to see you, too. It's been a while. How are
I bet. I get it. Yeah. You haven't called me once. What are you talking about? Doing great. We're having a blast. The energy around this building is really familiar and really fun.
The whole conversation's on video. Watch it on YouTube or the Seattle Sports app.
Do you have a car sitting around collecting dust? Turn that car into cash at Wayscar Ford in Auburn. Not only will they purchase your vehicle today and pay you right up front, but it gets way better because once they resell your car, they share 50% of their profit with you. I was just at Wayscar Ford getting service on my new Bronco, and I caught up with Mark, the GM. We were talking about the program. They've been sharing their profits with people utilizing this program for several years now. In fact, there's a whole page on their website dedicated to photos of happy customers with those giant oversized checks. Mark said people take advantage of the program because it's so much easier than just selling your car yourself, and you get way more money than if you were to only trade it in alone. Wayscar Ford offers a way to get a lot more money for your car without needing to go through the hassle of trying to sell it yourself, and that makes it a no-brainer. It's only at Wayscar Ford Isuzu in Auburn for over 100 years. Wayscarford.com.
Hey, Riverside Roofing is offering $1,000 off a new replacement right now. That's huge. $1,000 off. Quite the incentive for homeowners to book their roof replacement right now. It's Mike Salk here, and it really is a great time to do it. These days are getting long, right? Sunsets after 8 o'clock. Crews can get your roof done quick. So take advantage now before demand spikes this summer, making those repairs costly and time-consuming as well. Here's what you got to do to claim your $1,000 off from Riverside Roofing. Book a free estimate from the website, riversideroofingllc.com. And then you'll meet with Brandon, that's Don's son. Just tell him you heard the message here in the radio station. $1,000 back in your pocket, and yes, a brand new roof over your head. And while you're there, ask Brandon about their 35 years of local experience, GAF Master Elite certification, which puts them in the top 3% of roofers in the nation, and of course the catch-all system, which they use to keep your yard and driveway totally free of debris like nails or shingles. Go to riversideroofingllc.com. Remember, Riverside Roofing is the roofing company you can trust.
Comcast Business is celebrating Small Business Month by giving you a $1,000 small business bonus when you switch to a qualifying gig speed package from the company with over 99.99% network reliability. Just imagine the thousands of possibilities of a $1,000 prepaid card. Like possibility number 1, company merch for staff. Stylin'. Or possibility number 24, the latest software, upgrade. Or possibility number 192, new equipment powered by gig speeds. Or possibility number 555, a 3D printer. Rapid prototyping, anyone? Switch to Comcast Business for over 99.99% network reliability, advanced cybersecurity, and now get started with a $1,000 small business bonus. Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
In 62225, new customers only with 2-year agreement. Other restrictions apply.
Bonneville International radio station contests are open to participants 18 years of age or older that are residents of Washington State unless otherwise specified. Employees or agents of the station, Bonneville International Corporation, other area radio stations, or any entity associated with the contests are not eligible to win unless the station otherwise specifies at its own discretion. Persons who have won in the last 60 days from a station contest or event may not be eligible. Full general contest rules are available on seattlesports.com or in person at the station during regular business hours.
4 down territory, going inside the game with Michael Bumpus.
I like this. More quarterbacks should start doing this.
Every day at 11:15 and 1:15 on Bumpin' Stacy.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Get ready for Camping World's Red, White, and New Trade Event, May 15th through the 18th. Get the highest value for your RV guaranteed during the biggest RV trade event of the year. Shop the best RV deals in America with new RVs starting as low as $92 a month. Get ready for the holiday weekend with up to 45% off grills and 25% off product installation. Plus, we'll have free hats, free propane refills, free food, and fun for the whole family. Don't miss the incredible Red, White, and New Trade Event, May 15th through the 18th at your local Camping World.
See with the full details and disclaimer.
Imagine finding your dream home and moving in right away. No waiting to sell your old place first. Sounds perfect, right? That's exactly what Orchard's Move First, Sell Later program lets you do. Buy your new home now and sell the old one later. Here's how it works. Orchard gives you cash so you can buy and move into your new home first on your timeline. No waiting, no showings, no double moves. Then the Orchard experts take it from there. They handle repairs on your old home for you so you attract the right buyers. Once they're done, a local Orchard agent lists and sells your home for top dollar. Orchard's Move First program gives you the freedom to buy and move into your new home first and sell your old home later. Buy before you sell and get top dollar for your home with Orchard. Ready to find out how much your home is worth? Visit Orchard.com to get your free home valuation. That's Orchard.com.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio.
This is Bumpin' Stacy.
Weekdays 10 to 2.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
We heard from Cal Raleigh for the Cal Raleigh Show yesterday, and he had a few really interesting things to say that we wanted to dive into here first. His assessment of where the Mariners are now at the quarter mark of the season.
I think we're pretty pleased with where we're at. Obviously, the last 4 games haven't been great, but if you're looking at it through one quarter of the year, I think we're in a pretty good spot, also looking at, where we've been at with injuries. So, you look at, I feel like we've had the injury bug. We had Rails, Robles, George, Logan. It's just kind of been guys over and over falling. I just think we're just trying to, really lean into that identity of, committing to a plan, being a certain type of team. And overall, grand scheme of things so far, it's been really good. We just got to keep hammering it home. It's not about reinventing the wheel. It's not about trying to do more, trying to do something different. It's just continuing to lean on, what we've talked about and the identity of who we are.
Curtis Rogers in for Michael Bumpus. Curtis, what's your assessment of where the Mariners are at the quarter mark of the season, and do you agree with Cal?
I think it's a good start. I think considering the injuries that this team has undergone in the season's first quarter, to be 23-19 after 42 games, I can't be mad at that. I really can't. It does kind of make you wonder, what does this team look like at full health? Because we haven't seen that at any point this season. We have not seen this Mariners team at full strength. And who knows if we're ever going to get to see that. And that's just kind of that's kind of a reality of baseball, is that maybe, just maybe, you won't see your team at full strength over the course of 162. But I think there has been a lot of good so far. Some great, Brian Wu, Jorge Polanco, Cal Raleigh, obviously. But I think there's definitely still a lot on the table left for this Mariners team.
Yeah, to your point about full health, the injuries keep me from being overly critical of the team, as did the phenomenal start to the season offensively, or I should say phenomenal April and into May offensively, what Cal was doing, what Jorge was doing. Surprises from guys like Leo Rivas, right?
Right.
In winning despite those injuries, winning 8 consecutive series. I had to kind of bite my tongue because I was like, it's not fair right now to criticize what they're doing if they happen to have a bad game, because they've had to overcome so much and it surpassed my own expectations. That being said, you get credit for the changes you're able to make and for winning, as opposed to the theoretical team you built. The theoretical team the Mariners built last year could have been a playoff team.
Sure. The
theoretical team they have this year should be the best team in a weekend AL West. You only get credit for doing it. So that's where I'm at right now, is I'm kind of going back and forth between being like, God, for right now, you get an A for the start that you've had. But, and this is mostly looking at the front office, what do you do now? Or looking at guys that are going to need to adjust, what do you do now?
Yeah, and I think the question marks that have popped up are all pretty obvious. The infield, the starting pitching health, the bullpen as well. It's just that, do they have the answers, and are those answers internal? I think potentially, and we heard Adam Jude bring up the name Cole Young. I think that's a name that we could maybe see if he continues to hit the way that he has hit.
Yeah, Salk mentioned Locklear at first.
Yeah, Tyler Locklear. That could be another guy that comes up soonish to help things out. There are options that can help you out for sure, but I don't know if the Mariners are going to be in a position to where they can kind of wait around for these guys to get up to speed and get up to the major league speed. I think they might need to be in a spot where they go out and acquire some veteran talent. And, there was those questions as to whether or not they would have the financial flexibility to do so. I know it was Daniel Kramer who kind of brought up after the Leody Taveras signing, like, this might dip into their trade deadline budget, and Taveras, I think, was on the hook for like $3.6 million the rest of the season. Not insignificant money, but money that probably shouldn't
hamstring a playoff team.
Exactly. So if you didn't have a ton of money left to spend in your trade deadline budget, I mean, I don't know why you would choose to use it then. But, hey, signing Tavares, though, did represent them saying, like, okay, we are bringing in somebody from the outside that can help our Major League roster right away.
So far got you a win.
He did, yeah. That A's series finale coming up with a game-tying hit in that one. I think he had another hit, another RBI the very next day.
Yeah.
So mixed returns, but all in all, you needed the depth in your outfield for sure, and that was the quickest fix.
All right, let's talk about the pieces of this offense that are still here on the field and how much better they've been able to do. You can see that reflected not just in basic stats, but their strikeout percentage is super down. Cal Raleigh on how the Mariners hitting staff has gotten the most out of them.
I mean, they've been great, just always being there, and I think a great thing, they're not constantly trying to tinker. They're not constantly trying to find things wrong with you. They're not constantly changing, kind of what we were just talking about. Mm-hmm. They're not constantly changing the approach, changing what you do every single day.
Here's my question. I paused this cut so we'd have enough time to talk about it. Cal talks a ton more, so you should go listen to the Cal Raleigh show. It'll be nestled in the Wyman and Bob podcast. Cal only has one other coaching staff to compare this to.
Right.
Are we to think that Scott Service, that under his regime, that hitting staff did tinker too much? Like, is that what I'm taking away?
I think the Brant Brown experiment was...
You mean offensive coordinator Brant Brown?
Yes. Seattle and offensive coordinators. This town has a hate-hate relationship with offensive coordinators.
It hasn't worked
Very
out great.
few have ever gotten the stamp of approval, even in the best years. But I think Brant Brown was a tinkerer. I think he was an over-explainer. I think he was not somebody that made hitting as easy, or not as easy as it should be, but I don't think he made it easier for anybody in that lineup. And I think once you bring in a guy like Edgar, who, as we've heard from multiple players on this team, he just simplifies everything. He makes it easy to figure out. I think we had Buster Olney on with us a couple weeks ago, and he talked to Alex Rodriguez about Edgar's impact on him as a player and impact on his hitting abilities. And he said something to the fact that, Alex told me, I've never seen anybody just put things so simply when it came to hitting. And that's how you know how special Edgar is at doing that. And so for him to be able to convey that to this Mariners team, and Kevin Seitzer also to be there to, lift up what Edgar's preaching here, I think that is just doing wonders for this offense. Yes, the homestand, what it was really tough, but through 42 games, I mean, this offense is night and day, so much different than what it was a year ago.
We've talked a lot today about what we want to see in this upcoming Mariners series against the Padres. Let's talk about what we want to see later this fall from the Seahawks. What's a successful season actually look like? That's next.
After a tough homestand.
Next offer to Jude, swinging a well-hit ball deep to left field. The Yankees have the lead.
The first-place Mariners are back on the road, where they've been at their best so far this season. Call them the Road Warriors.
In the clutch.
Tonight, the M's kick off a 10-game trip in the first of 3 against the Padres. First pitch at 6:40, with Wyman and Bob taking you up to pregame at 5:30. Hear every pitch on 710 and the Seattle Sports app.
Did you know that most people wait 6 or 7 years before they buy a new TV? That's a lot of time in front of one TV. So why not get one of the best sets for the next 7 years, like one of the top-rated Samsung, LG, or Sony models? Too expensive? What if you could get up to $1,000 trade-in for your old set? Who would do a stupid deal like this? Right now, at Video Only, you can get big bucks for your old set as a trade-in and a hot price on the new models. Don't be sorry. Check out Video Only.
My wife and I have been married for over 15 years, and I've never had any complaints about my performance in the bedroom. But after I turned 40, things started feeling different. I was gaining weight, losing muscle, and I just wasn't interested in sex anymore. My wife told me her friend's husband went through the same thing, and it turns out he had low testosterone. So we booked a free T-check at Revive Health, and that's when I learned that my testosterone levels were low too. We worked with a provider to create a custom treatment plan. And today, my wife and I are having more fun than we did on our honeymoon. My only regret is not reaching out sooner.
If you're ready to book your free T-check, visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com or call 206-529-1111. Again, that's 206-529-1111.
This might be the most surprising statistic I've shared in decades of doing local news. More than 75% of commuters will be involved in a car accident at some point. JP Pendergast of Pendergast Law with more.
What makes it more surprising? The average person will be involved in 3 to 4 collisions in their lifetime.
With accidents unbelievably prevalent, what are some safety tips if it happens to you?
Safety first. Secondary collisions are not uncommon while awaiting help. Turn on those hazards and remain in a safe place. If a bystander witnessed the accident, capture their information and encourage them to remain at the scene. Seek medical attention immediately if needed, as delaying can be a costly mistake. Lastly, remember that statements made to police and insurance adjusters can affect your case.
Collisions are more common than we'd like to think. If you find yourself in one, follow these helpful tips and then call my friends at Pendergast Law.
If you or a loved one's injured in a car accident, call Pendergast Law. We can help.
PendergastLaw.com.
Hey, Mike Salk here, and great news. This August, luxury awaits at Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel. Yes, the hotel is finally opening. You can book now for an unforgettable summer experience at snocasino.com. Breathtaking views of the Cascades in Snoqualmie Valley, an expanded non-smoking gaming floor, awesome destination spa, a 2,000-seat entertainment space and convention center, and yes, new food venues, restaurants as well. You can book at snocasino.com. Seattle's closest. It's now Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel.
Can you take the power of your home internet almost anywhere? Well, with Xfinity, you can. Do more of what you love in the places you go the most with internet and mobile together. Xfinity built a network that's 99.99% reliable. Plus, Xfinity Mobile, well, they have Wi-Fi power boost, giving you ultra-fast Wi-Fi at home and out on the go. So get the same reliable network in the places you need it the most. Maybe the coffee shop, the grocery store, or at the game. Whatever you're into, you'll love how fast you can do it with Xfinity Internet and mobile. And now through April 21st, get 300 megabit Xfinity Internet and one unlimited mobile line together for $25 a month for a year with no contract. And save $1,000 in your first year over Verizon and AT&T Plus. Ask how to get a free premium 5G phone. Visit Xfinity.com, call 1-800-XFINITY or visit a store today. Requires paperless billing and auto pay with store bank account. Restrictions apply. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra after promo. Regular rates apply. Actual speeds vary. Savings compared to Verizon 5G, Internet Plus One Unlimited Welcome Line, and AT&T Internet 300 Plus One Unlimited Starter SL line. Xfinity Internet required. Reduced speeds after 30 gigabits of usage per line. Data thresholds and actual savings vary.
If you've got a gas-powered engine, keep it running like new at every fill-up. Stable in-season protection is your engine's preventative medicine, cleaning and protecting the entire fuel system in season. In outdoor power equipment, prevent gum and varnish buildup that could cause a rough or non-running engine. For cars and trucks, increase fuel efficiency and power by removing deposits, ensuring your engine's long-term health. Stable outperforms the competition in independent lab testing. So at every fill-up, start with Stable.
Did you know your skin is the largest organ of your body? Huh? That's why you should shower with Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash instead of plain old bar soap. Love your skin by super hydrating it with vitamin B3 and glorious notes of vanilla and shea. Did you know that my super hydrated skin is the second largest organ of my body? The first is my heart. Old Spice. Men have skin too. Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash. 24/7 renewing moisture. With daily use.
This is Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app.
KIRO AM Seattle. KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma. Home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports. Seattle Sports Snapshot.
The Mariners are back in action after an off day. They're taking on the Padres in San Diego. First pitch is at 6:40 p.m. This one's going to be on Apple TV as a reminder. However, you can obviously listen to it on Seattle Sports, and then the pregame show beginning at 5:30 right here on Seattle Sports. Elsewhere in baseball, regular season Subway Series starts in about 3 hours. It's a 4:30 p.m. first pitch Pacific time. Juan Soto returning to the Bronx, and tens and thousands of boos when the Mets take on the Yankees at 4:05. Quick scoreboard watch around MLB. You've got the Cubs up 6-3 over the White Sox, top of the 6th.
Snapshot brought to you by Miller Lite. When it's game time, it's Miller time.
This hour is brought to you by Mazda of Everett.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio
This is Bump and Stacy
on Seattle Sports.
streaming through the Seattle Sports app and at seattlesports.com.
Now, here are your hosts, Michael Bumpus and Stacy Ross.
Here we go now. A question with many possible answers and many that a few people are going to disagree about. What's a successful season from the Seahawks look like? Curtis Rogers in for Michael Bumpus. And Curtis, I can promise you that beginning with whether or not they make the playoffs, people are going to disagree. There are people out there that are going to say the Seahawks improving the run game or Sam Darnold throwing 30-plus touchdowns again would be a successful season. And then there are other people saying, hey, wake up, loser. Not making the playoffs is a failure of a season no matter what. Where do you stand on what a successful season looks like?
A successful season to me is going to start with whether or not the Seahawks offense can match the philosophy of the head coach, which it's been a long time since that's happened here in Seattle.
Yeah.
And I think Mike Macdonald talking about how he wants to get back to a run-first offense and how he wants to get to, a smash-mouth style offense, bring in Clint Kubiak and the Kubiak system and just how successful that has been all throughout the NFL, specifically with those, Broncos teams over the years. Like, I just want to see philosophy and what we see on the field finally match up on the offensive side of the ball. It's been a long time since the Seahawks have had a vaunted running game. I think, was it maybe 2017?
It would have been 2018.
2018, they had a really good run game that year.
I want to say the following season. I know Carson had one. I think he had another 1,000-yard season. I think
he had two back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons.
I think the second would have been 2019.
Right. So I think, to me, that is going to be the thing that I'm probably watch closest this year is whether or not
run game or like your identity.
Yeah, is whether or not the Seahawks can establish an identity that matches what the head coach wants, because it was a problem the final few years of Pete's tenure here in Seattle. Last year, we didn't really quite know what Macdonald wanted until the end of the season, where he was a little more vocal, kind of like, I want to get the run game going. And then we all point to that Cardinals game last year, and he pointed to it too, and been like, that is what I want to see out of this offense every single time we touch the field. So that, to me, is what I will be watching closest, whether or not the philosophies of this coach can match the on-field production.
What does a successful season look like for the Seahawks? You can join this conversation on the text line, 866-979-3776. My answer to this has changed, even over the last couple months.
Right.
My answer used to be a successful season is that you, much like you become the team that you say you are, right? That you take a step forward in the run, that you take a step forward with your offensive line, and that if you finish with 10 wins and don't make the playoffs, but you do all of those things, that's a successful season. And in theory, I think that's true still. I really do feel that way. However, I don't know if anyone else grew up with another sibling, and maybe you were close in age and you were very jealous or fought a lot when you were little. That was me and my sister. And because of that, my mom, for a while, always had to get us the same toys. Because
I'm living that right now.
You know what I mean?
Parent.
Like, I have a memory of her. She went on a trip to Alaska and she came back and she had to get us exactly the same stuffed animal because otherwise it would be fighting over it and being like, why'd she get that and why'd that? This is how I'm treating the Mariners and Seahawks, Curtis. I am not philosophically consistent if I berate the Mariners for missing the playoffs. and if I say
the Seahawks are the same
I'm just
standard?
saying, if I sit here and go, hey, Jerry. Hey, Justin. Hey, thanks again, Justin, for joining us earlier this week. Hi.
Really nice of you to clear out your
super nice
schedule
guy.
for us.
But hey, guys, the expectation should be playoffs.
Yeah.
This is a fan base who deserves that. You're the only club to not make it to a World Series. And if I just over and over again say, like, you have to want more, well, then I can't not apply that to the Seahawks.
And then with the Seahawks, it's okay, guys.
Yeah,
we'll run it back
I'm
next year.
realizing that I am philosophically inconsistent with how much I
fall
shame
victim
the
to that,
Mariners.
too.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't shame the Mariners, but I get so disappointed because I get so frustrated. And it's just like, I feel like I get so angry. And they've been so close. And then with the Seahawks, I'm much more nuanced. And part of it is that I've been an NFL reporter, and so I do take a more nuanced view as opposed to a fan view. Like with the Mariners, I fall more into a fan view because that's kind of how I watch the team, and with the Seahawks, it's as a reporter for years before I was on air. But I got to be like my mom,
Right.
Something we often fight. But I got to be like my parents, and I have to get the Mariners and Seahawks the same toy, and I also have to have the same expectations. Guess what? You need to make the playoffs, and if you don't, it's not a successful season. That has to be my take.
It does. And, boy, I'm looking back the last time the Seahawks missed the playoffs 3 years in a row, which is crazy to think about, that the Seahawks could potentially miss the playoffs for a third straight season.
Would it have been after 2005?
No.
No?
It was Mike Holmgren's second, third, and fourth season. So basically the Husky Stadium years. They missed the playoffs in 2000, 2001, and 2002 after making the wild card round in 1999. And boy, like, it's been that long since we've seen the Seahawks miss the playoffs 3 straight years.
That makes me feel even more right, Curtis.
Yeah.
How can I possibly write off this team not making the playoffs as a successful season when it's been since the late 90s?
Basically.
Early 2000s?
Early 2000s.
Early 2000s.
Since they've missed the playoffs in 3 consecutive years.
Nope. You got to do it.
Yeah.
You got to make the playoffs. Winners win.
Yeah, I think making the playoffs I think that is an expectation for a lot of people this season. I think.
Is it a fair one?
I mean, you've undergone a ton of change offensively.
You don't think so?
I don't know if it's a fair expectation. But again, you're in a division that is not where it was a couple of years ago. It's not, the 49ers, who are just a juggernaut. They're not a team that you think is going to play in the Super Bowl. The Rams are good, and they made the playoffs a year ago, but Matthew Stafford's another year older. They don't have Cooper Kupp there. They've got an aging Devontae Adams in Cooper Kupp's place. Puka Nacua had injuries last year. No Aaron Donald. So, I mean, the Rams are a good team, but they're beatable. I think you have opportunities in this NFC West this season to make the playoffs for sure. So I just think when we hear John Schneider say, I'm doing everything I can to make sure that this is a playoff team year in and year out, and you hear Mike McDonald say, like, I'm trying to establish an identity and whatnot, but you look back and, like, Pete Carroll was let go after consecutive or not even consecutive misses of the playoffs. It was a 9-8 record in 2023. Now, 22 they finished 9-8. 2021 they finished 7-10 after rattling off so many double-digit win seasons in a row. But it is really, really weird to see them in this kind of middle ground in the NFL for so long. Really kind of dating back to the 2021 season. Mm-hmm. We're now in 2025, and hopefully that they can finally break through and make the playoffs, because a third straight year of no playoff football here in Seattle, I mean, people are going to get a little agitated by that.
Well, and guess what? Not making the playoffs in 2 of 3 years and not finding as much success in the postseason, even for an organization, the Seahawks, that's been one of the winningest teams of the last, 10, 11, 12 years, has led to people having really low expectations and being satisfied with it from the 2-5-3. Sorry, but I completely disagree with your assessment that a successful season has anything to do with making the playoffs. I could give a shoot, radio edit, if we make the playoffs, if we're not going to do anything when we get to the playoffs except lose. I don't like that mentality, 2-5-3. I love you for texting and listening.
I think a playoff berth would do a lot for the psyche of this locker room.
Well, what do you do? Like, wait until you're a Super Bowl team? Look, the Seahawks,
right.
Here's how I feel right now today on May 16th. I don't think the Seahawks are a Super Bowl team. I don't. However,
right.
I will feel on, January or late December, if we find out a little earlier than that the Seahawks aren't going to be a playoff team, I will feel disappointed.
Mm-hmm.
Because last year, they won 10 games. We're the only double-digit win team to not make it to the postseason. And they see themselves as being a playoff team. Why would my expectations be so much lower than that of the head coach and general manager?
Right. And they made these moves this offseason to not really take a step back. I think they made the move from Darnold, or the move from Geno to Darnold, the move from DK to Cooper Kupp, not in any way that they were like, oh, well, we just want to take a step back, maybe collect a higher draft pick this upcoming season and then run it back in 2026. No, like those moves are made with the 2025 team in mind. If you're playing for the future, then you play Jalen Milroe a lot this season. And I don't think that's going to be the case. I think Sam Darnold's going to get every opportunity to be the starting quarterback of this team. So when I look at what this Seahawks team can do in 2025, I think this locker room and this coaching staff has every expectation of making the playoffs this season, or at least challenging for a playoff spot.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I think saying that you'd rather they miss the playoffs than getting to the playoffs and getting eliminated
as a
right
flawed
away.
Team.
Yeah, I don't think that is. I don't think that is going to do the most for this locker room. I think just having a lot of guys who have not had collective success yet in the NFL, and lot of guys.
That's a great point.
Yes, and a lot of guys that have never made the playoffs together.
Yes.
I'm thinking like Devin Witherspoon, Charles Cross, all those guys. For them to be able to say, "Oh, I can do this now," that first bit of success is going to go a long way, I think.
That's a really good point. It's about what winning and improving does for culture, just as much as anything else. I know that so many people have looked at what the Lions have been able to do and say, hey, this is what kind of getting there should look like. So Campbell's first year, he inherited a deeply flawed team, obviously, and they finished fourth in the NFC North and went 3 for 13. Okay. The following year, they went 9 of 8. They did not make the playoffs, but they finished second. So was success making the playoffs? Probably not for a team that was 3 and 13 the year before, but success was improving. And in the latter half of that season, I think they won like 7 of 9. Like they quite literally progressed and improved over the course of a single season. And then what did they do? They tacked on 3 more wins the following season. Then they get to the conference. They lost in the divisional round, maybe to some Lions fans. That feels like failure, and it feels like a step back. They also did win 3 more games, so they went 15-2. Progress is part of the story of success. If the Seahawks had won 6 games in 2024, I would not say that playoffs is a must. I'd say progress. Can you get to 10 wins? That's improving 4 wins from the year prior. That's huge. But you won 10 games.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Mike McDonald, by virtue of being the only Seahawks first-year head coach to win 10 games, has set a bar for himself. How do you clear it?
You clear it by definitely getting to the playoffs.
By making the playoffs.
That is the easiest measure of a successful season in 2025 is getting them to the playoffs. Kind of getting back to just this.
What it does for culture.
Yeah, and what it does for this group of players that are on this Seahawks roster. I'm looking at the team history right now. The last playoff team in Seahawks team history to make the playoffs that did not have a member of the 2013 Super Bowl champions on it, 2007.
Listen.
That is the last time the Seahawks have made the playoffs with a roster that did not have a member of the Legion of Boom Seahawks on
I was
it.
in high school.
I was learning to drive in 2007. That's the last time the Seahawks made the playoffs without somebody from that LOB era. Because in 2022, you still had Bobby Wagner, you still had Russell Wilson, or not Russell Wilson, you still had Bobby, or actually.
Were you looking at the 07 roster?
Yeah, 07 you had.
Is when you had no members of that team.
Right.
Yeah.
That team had, like, Matt Hasselbeck was the quarterback, sure.
Yeah.
But Sean Alexander, a broken down Sean Alexander, was your leading rusher that year. Nate Burleson, who is currently on CBS Good Morning, he
which should also tell you how much time has passed and doing a great job.
Right. He's doing a fantastic job, yes. But that 2022 Seahawks team, they had just, it was like, yes, you had Geno Smith as your quarterback, but it's been a long time since the Seahawks have won something without the fingerprints of, and I guess when I consider Legion of Boom members, Pete Carroll I would consider, obviously he's the architect of the whole thing, still the head coach of that 2022 team, so like he knew how to get to the playoffs, but it's been a long time since a completely new group of Seahawks, a completely new group of players, new coaching staff have done something in this town. And yes, that speaks to the longevity of Pete and longevity of what he built here. But it's a new group. It's a new era. It's new everything. And you had a year to kind of change things over, and now it's changed even more so heading into 2025.
To your point about what even getting to the playoffs would do for taking that step forward, like eventually you need to do it. And while some texters disagreed, not everyone does. Many other people are saying the Super Bowl should be the expectation every year. I think that a successful season is getting to the playoffs, and by virtue of that, not getting to the playoffs is not a successful season for this Seahawks team.
Yeah.
And I'm going to build on to what you said about culture. I like that point. It reminded me of a book I read, and I'm totally blanking, and shame on me. I'll find it and recommend it. It was about, from a former NHL player talking about a Stanley Cup winning franchise, and when you win, then what happens?
Right.
And what happens to your mindset? What happens to competitive
How do you
drive?
get
What
that
happens to
back?
chemistry?
Yeah.
How do you keep winning once you win?
Because you spent all this time chasing something.
Exactly.
And then you got it, and it's like, well,
this
isn't the
yes,
same.
it's a fascinating read. And there's also this like angle to it with human psychology that we always need to be going after something and wanting something and chasing something and driving towards something. And that just when you don't have something to strive for as people, as humans, what happens to your mind? It's a fascinating angle to that. But the thing that predates that is where the Seahawks can find themselves. And that's the coolest place to be. The coolest place to be, low-key, is right before you get to winning it all, when you feel like you're truly building something. I have never been part of an NFL locker room, obviously. I've covered one and been in it, but I've never been a player on an NFL team. But from everything I hear, some of the strongest relationships and best moments are when you feel like you're building up to that. I want to see that for Seattle because you're right. I think that affects your mind, your mentality, your personality, your the camaraderie. You get along when you're winning. People like each other when you're winning.
For sure. I think it also kind of speaks to why, and maybe this is a personal feeling, maybe not speaking so much for the Seattle fan base, but like when you think back to that era of Seahawks football, obviously the 2013 team is going to be the most beloved in the city's history. But I almost kind of feel like 2012 is viewed in a warmer light than the 2015 team, or not the 2014 team that made it a play away from winning the Super Bowl, because of what we knew what was coming. We knew, or at least we felt like something was coming. We felt like something big was on the horizon based off of how that 2012 team started that year. They started all right, but then as the year got along, they looked like they were headed for a Super Bowl. If they beat the Falcons that day in the divisional round, I think everybody who covered that team was like, yeah, this is a team that was going to go to a Super Bowl and probably win it.
Well, my memories of that game, because at the time I wasn't a reporter, I was just watching with friends, are so much better than of Super Bowl 49.
Right.
When you got closer.
Yeah, and that 2012 team, too, ended the regular season with a ridiculous run that they went on. I think it was 3 straight games where they scored at least 40-something points. Yeah, they scored 58 December 9th against the Cardinals, 50 December 16th against the Bills.
I knew the Bills were in there.
And then 42 December 23rd against the San Francisco 49ers. Weeks 14, 15, and 16, they were playing the best football of anybody that season. They finished the regular season 11-5. Then they went on the road to start the playoffs against Washington in a pretty easy win, 24-14. That was also the game that RG3 got hurt. But then that divisional round, final play of the game, Atlanta kicks the game-winning field goal. But yeah, I think that 2012 team gets viewed in a more positive light than the 2014 team, even though I don't think anybody would question that the 2014 team was just better. Like that 2014 team in terms of roster talent, the second greatest team in franchise history. Yeah, like they were loaded everywhere. And I just think that I'm not comparing 25. I'm not saying that 2025 is going to be 2012 by any stretch of the imagination, but who knows? Like, maybe some things break your way. Maybe some things change about this team that puts you on the right course towards contention.
Have you changed your mind at all that the only way to feel like you're building up and being successful, like a successful Seahawks season, must be a trip to the playoffs? Are you seeing the door open, or are you feeling tempted by it? Tempted by the take?
A little bit, but I still think you've got to make the playoffs, because 3 straight years without making the postseason.
That's what did it. Once you saw that, you were like, okay, never mind. Now that I know they haven't done it since the 2000s.
You've got guys who are finishing off their rookie contracts that have never experienced playoff football, and now you bring in young guys, rookies, who are then looking to those players and be like, hey, man, how do I do it? And they're like,
yep,
I've never experienced it before. I don't know what it's like.
Well, and then you get young people coming in where it's like they don't see when they're drafted, and it's one question asked to rookies all the time. What was your outside, perception of the Seahawks? The whole, such a fun team. Pete Carroll, they won a Super Bowl, Legion of Boom. Yeah, those kids were in elementary school.
Exactly.
So their memories of the Seahawks are going to be very different.
12 years ago.
Yep.
Nick Emanwari, I think, was like 9 years old when the Seahawks.
You know
won the
what
Super
I want to
Bowl.
see? I want to see the Seahawks get to a place where when we watch a guy get the draft call, he's legitimately excited. Like he's psyched, and he's like, oh my God.
Bawling his eyes
You know
out.
what I mean?
Yeah.
You see guys get drafted to current contenders and playoff teams, and they just look psyched. All right. We're going to get on to what else is going on this weekend and then get your questions in for what I need to know. Right now, let's see what's on tonight.
What's on tonight with Bump and Stacy, brought to you by Caesars Sportsbook at Muckleshoot. Now, here's what's on tonight.
The Mariners, they're on tonight. They start their series against the Padres. Pregame at 5:30 p.m. on Seattle Sports. First pitch at 6:40 p.m. also on Seattle Sports. If you're watching on video, don't forget this is an Apple TV game. What else is going on this weekend? It's coming up next.
Wyman and Bob, afternoons 2 to 7.
For some people that are just committed to being mad at the team, or they stink, you just wait. They're desperate to be right about them not being good. So this was their first chance to go, see? Yeah, there's the real team. I'm like, so the real team is the one we saw in these 3 games and not the previous 9 series.
Dave Wyman and Bob Stelton, afternoons 2 to 7 on Seattle Sports, the app, YouTube, and your smart speaker.
If you've ever wondered if there's something after death, Tyler Henry proves the answer is yes. Be part of his live audience readings and his jaw-dropping ability to connect with the departed at Muckleshoot Event Center, Thursday, July 10th and Friday, July 11th at 8 p.m. Experience this evening of hope and healing, bringing peace and closure to loved ones. Tyler Henry proves our loved ones never leave us. Get tickets at muckleshootcasino.com.
Muckleshoot. Discover LeMay, America's car museum in Tacoma. Explore 300 world-class cars, 100 years of history, and the Shinka exhibit with 50 iconic Japanese sports cars. Thrilling race simulators and fun for the whole family. Visit americascarmuseum.org.
We meet by accident, fixing every last bit, accurate auto body.
If you've been in an auto accident, you have the right to take your vehicle to any repair facility. Accurate Auto Body has been family owned and operated since 1994, and they work for you, not your insurance company. Your insurance company may not love them, but you will, because
We meet by accident, fixing every last bit, accurate auto body.
We've all been there, sleepless nights, wondering if your business's security service is really protecting what matters. At Bay Alarm, we can put your security insecurities to bed. Our advanced technology and personalized support ensure you can rest easy knowing we're here for you. BayAlarm.com.
If you've got a gas-powered engine, keep it running like new at every fill-up. Stable in-season protection is your engine's preventative medicine, cleaning and protecting the entire fuel system in season. In outdoor power equipment, prevent gum and varnish buildup that could cause a rough or non-running engine. For cars and trucks, increase fuel efficiency and power by removing deposits, ensuring your engine's long-term health. Stable outperforms the competition in independent lab testing. So at every fill-up, start with Stable.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today?
My car is making this noise. Sometimes it's like doot, 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 and sometimes it's like grrr.
Do you have a dash light on?
Oh, yeah.
Then we don't have to listen for clues. With the free Fix Finder service, we can read a check engine, ABS, or maintenance light to find the likely fix and even recommend a local shop if you need one.
So you don't need to hear the grrr.
Not with Fix Finder. Everything you need, nothing you don't.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Progressive knows if you have to choose between everyday life and your RV wins.
What, are you going to take the RV to the lake or clean out your closet?
RV wins!
Putting the dishes away or taking the RV camping?
RV wins!
Cleaning the fridge or taking a trip to the beach?
RV wins!
You might want to clean the fridge real quick because, mold.
We clean out the fridge, then take the RV out.
With Progressive, you can bundle your RV with your home or auto and save with a discount and spend more time enjoying those savings in your RV. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers not available in all states and situations.
Ready to order?
Yes. We're earning unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with a Capital One Saver card. So let's just get one of everything.
Everything?
Fire everything. The Capital One Saver card is at table 27, and they're earning unlimited 3% cash back.
Yes, Chef! This is so nice.
Had a feeling you'd want 3% cash back on dessert.
Ooh, tiramisu.
Earn unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with the Capital One Saver card. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
We are Seattle Sports, the home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports.
Watch your favorite show live at seattlesports.com.
Hey, Brock Heward here, along with IRG Physical and Hand Therapy President and CEO, Shannon O'Kelly. Now, Shannon, I need to ask you if what I've been hearing is true. You don't need a referral, really, to see a physical therapist in the state of Washington?
That's exactly right, Brock. The state of Washington is a state that has what's called direct access. That means that if you get up in the morning, for example, and you hurt your back or did something to your muscles or tendons or joints, you can call a physical therapist directly, and we can get you in that same day and start your care and your recovery process.
How can patients get scheduled with IRG?
Oh, it's easy. You just contact us at irgpt.com. We'll direct you to our concierge service, and we'll take care of all that for you. We handle all the authorization, verification. We want our patients to understand their insurance benefits and what the outcomes are going to be with their visit to IRG Physical and Hand Therapy.
Please, please, please don't let injuries keep you from your passion. Schedule online today at irgpt.com and start the journey back to your best self.
When you have really good leaders, it makes it easy.
Gia arrived at Lee Johnson after 10 years at another dealership.
You know your job, but then you have people who you can rely on to help you with the big stuff that, you need that support from. And I've gotten that every day with my service manager, with our assistant service manager, with even like our GM and our GSM. The way that, we're now on the showroom together, we are so close-knit just as a department. My service manager here, he's always open to teach you whatever you want to know. He just wants everybody to do good around him, and if somebody wants to learn something, I'm here to do it. And I've never had a service manager like that before. They're really good at promoting from within. That's one thing that I've learned from working here is I see people start out as a lot porter, and people work their way all the way up to being a general manager.
The LJ way is the Lee Johnson Auto family.
This hour is brought to you by Mazda of Everett.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio.
This is Bumpin' Stacy.
Weekdays 10 to 2.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
What I need to know coming your way in 15 minutes. Get your questions in, any question, to the text line, 866-979-3776. Again, 866-979-3776. I'll keep my eye on it, and I'll be scooping up some questions for the next, again, 15 minutes or so. Right now, I thought we would have kind of not a break from Seattle per se. We'll probably talk about the Mariners-Padres series a little bit, but just kind of take a look at what else is going on in sports this weekend, what we have our eye on.
I love this time of year because there's something for everyone on the weekends.
I know. Where do you want to start? I wrote down a couple options for you.
Well,
I like the Subway series, but I know you've got your eye obviously on the Nuggets.
Yes, the Subway series, though, it's Juan Soto's return to Yankee Stadium.
And it starts in 3 hours.
It does. I saw the yokels on WFAN,
those
basically
jokers.
Boomer Esiason and
what's he talking? What's he complaining about this time?
He was basically he was telling Yankees fans boo not boo Aaron Judge, boo Juan Soto in his return, and it's so funny to me when a player leaves the Yankees for more money, because that never happens. That happens rarely.
That's the thing. They're shocked.
Exactly.
They're floored.
Like when Robinson Cano left for here, he got booed in his return to Yankee Stadium. But it's like, man, Juan Soto, he gave you guys an American League pennant, something you haven't experienced since 2009, hit that big home run in the ALCS against Cleveland that basically sent you guys to the World Series. Like, I get that he only was there for a year, but, like, I can't blame him for going after the money when it's $765 million.
So I saw this video that went viral, and I feel like I should find his handle, but I don't want to search it because I don't even know what to search. He was explaining to his girlfriend in relationship terms as though he was gossiping. Did you see this?
I've seen this one,
What
yes.
Juan Soto did to the Yankees. And I will say that while it's hate the Yankees all day no matter what, like I have kind of like a respect, obviously. And like I love New Yorkers. I think they're so funny and abrasive. I personally like it, but I've been raised to hate the Yankees, and so that's who I am. But I thought that kind of made sense because it was a more well-rounded example of it wasn't just leaving for more money. It was exactly what Mariners fans hated about A-Rod, that he said one thing or said that he'd be hesitant to get into a long-term relationship, and then actually did exactly that with the Mets. Yeah. So if you can think of remembering why you hated A-Rod, I think that's how a lot of Yankees fans feel about Juan Soto. It's not just, how dare you not sign with the 27 rings, greatest franchise of all time,
right.
But also that you made it seem as though you didn't even want to explore a deal like the one the Mets offered you.
Yeah. And then also it's the Mets, too. It's the team in the same city.
It's exactly Alex Rodriguez.
Right. And it's like, what do the Mets have to offer that the Yankees can't? Like, there's literally nothing that the Mets have to offer that New York can't match.
Pete Alonso. Lots
of
fun.
Yeah. Francisco Lindor, I guess.
Fans that are even weirder.
Yeah. Mets fans are a strange breed.
Pain.
Just embarrassment.
Suffering.
Time and time again. Yeah.
No, again, like I thought that Juan Soto would either stay with the Yankees or go to the Dodgers. I thought we'd be talking about kind of like this, like, oh, the two World Series teams are competing for the biggest free agent on the market. How fascinating. Like, I thought that's what we would be watching. I know obviously the Mets are part of it, and that Cohen has never shied away from spending, has made it very clear, like, I'll throw money at whatever it takes. And the Mets have suddenly found themselves in this kind of like, no, they'll do whatever.
I think it's funny that Boomer Esiason early in the season, we had that conversation about needle movers, and he went on this big thing about how Juan Soto does not move the needle
Which
for
is
him.
insane.
And then today gets on the air and is like, I want all Yankees fans to boo this guy.
He's moving the needle
you
for you, bro.
Care about it. If you don't care about him so much, then why are you saying this on the air?
On a New York station, you are talking about, granted, a New York team, but you're talking about a player that you swear doesn't move the needle when you know. Right now we're talking about him at Seattle.
Exactly.
I think it's going to be an interesting series. I'll obviously be keeping an eye on it.
It's the very first time somebody has ever gone on sports radio and said one thing and done the other.
I'm never guilty of that.
No, definitely not.
Okay, so that's the Subway Series.
Yeah.
Another thing happening. So that begins obviously today at 4:30. It's at Yankee Stadium, and then also happening. This is going to be Sunday, the big Game 7.
Let's go, Nuggets. Let's do it. Do it for not just yourselves, but do it for your friends over here in Seattle. Now, I know.
Then we've always been Nuggets fans.
Exactly. Go
Remember
Nuggets.
when I thought it was after Nuggets?
Yes, I do. I think about that almost daily.
The top 5 dumbest things I've ever said is unfortunately a full list.
Is that in the, that's probably like 2 or 3?
I'd say that's 2. Easy. That's a top 3 for sure. Yeah, it's up there. Thinking you were Hispanic was another one.
That's right. I'm half Portuguese.
And I said, I didn't know you were Latino.
No, not anywhere near. Not anywhere near there. That was.
I just have my moments sometimes. Yeah.
I know things between Seattle and Denver sports have always been kind of a little touchy. You know, you have obviously Super Bowl 48, Russell Wilson traded to the Broncos, the Kraken beating the Avs in that 7-game series a couple of years ago. But do your friends over here in Seattle a solid, Denver. And I would think most people in Denver understand the history of the Sonics and would be like, oh, sure, yeah, let's do it. So go Nuggets, help everybody out, and keep an NBA title out of Oklahoma City's hands.
They're just going to have to play out of their minds.
Right. Luckily, I would say they have the best player in the series, though, in Nikola Jokic, who's probably going to be the MVP.
I wasn't watching that game and looked up the shot once you texted that.
Falling away, not even really looking at the hoop, and he makes it. I mean, boy, he's so good. He's so good, and he doesn't even look like he wants to be there.
Can I say, related to this, you mentioning, like, I would think most Nuggets fans kind of understand why so many Seattle fans would root for them, and I think you're right. The gap between what I think most NBA fans are completely fine with, that being expansion franchises to certainly Seattle and also Vegas, and what owners clearly are fighting against, drives me crazy.
Right.
It drives me crazy. I've never met a single NBA fan in my entire life that's like, honestly, don't give Seattle a team.
Right. It is so, like, the consensus is so in Seattle's favor of bringing a team back. I don't know what the weight is.
Active and former. Players will talk about it.
Right. Every guy that has ever played in Seattle has very fond memories of it, not just like people who wore the Sonics uniform, but like you mentioned, opponents, people in media. I know, like, Michael Wilbon has talked about it before on PTI, being like, man, Seattle, when it was popping in the 90s, like, that was the spot.
Oh, and the
league.
NBA loves it when they want to throw us a bone for a random exhibition game and get a ton of money from ticket sales.
Yeah, Clippers, Blazers every year.
Oh, yeah, they'll totally lean into Seattle's fandom for that. And they'll be like, you guys love the NBA, right? And then when it comes to an actual expansion, they'll go, well, let's get some other stuff out of the way.
Yeah, and this is the only way we can get our wins, at least in a basketball sense, is rooting against Oklahoma City. That's one of my favorite days every year, is when they get eliminated.
Yeah.
I don't know what the reaction would be in Seattle, and I hope to not find out, is what if Oklahoma City does win the title? Like, that's going to hurt. That's going to sting. That's going to sting really bad.
I think that it'll sting for a generation of fans that ends maybe 10 years younger than us.
Yeah.
And then there's going to be a lot of college age and younger kids that don't really care. Or like they know the history, but they don't feel it in the same, they don't feel that sick feeling. Like there are just certain things that like I know to be true of Seattle history, but I don't feel in the same way by virtue of being too young. And I think that's where they're going to be. So I think that there's going to be like, you, Curtis Rogers, in your 30s, who remembers well, wearing a Sonics hat.
Right.
You're just going to feel anger.
Yes. It's going to
be
those
owners hoist the trophy.
Yeah, it's going to be I don't even want to think about it, because like thinking about it then maybe allows for it to happen.
Don't will it in. I've been reading a lot about what's it called? Manifestation.
Yeah, we're not going to manifest
No,
this.
we need to manifest a Nuggets win
Let's
for
go.
Denver.
Let's go Denver.
McDonald's. All the Nuggets everywhere. We really need to will this into existence. Okay, so that one's on Sunday. Subway Series starting today at 4:30. That one on Sundays. When's the Preakness? Also Sunday? Saturday. But then because what's his face isn't racing.
Sovereignty, yeah.
Too
that
scared.
Coward.
Too scared.
No, he's living a good life.
Yeah. What I need to know coming your way next. Get your questions in 866-979-3776.
Wyman and Bob, afternoons 2 to 7.
The release of the Seahawks schedule, you open at home with the Niners, you close the season on the road with the Niners.
You know what's interesting about that is just that where's San Francisco going to be? I'm just curious. They're going to be able to be that team that kind of has dominated. You know, those two games I think are going to be really interesting just to see where the Seahawks are. I think this year the tougher challenge might be the Rams.
Dave Wyman and Bob Stelton, afternoons 2 to 7 on Seattle Sports, the app, YouTube, and your smart speaker.
For over 113 years, Pacific Lamp and Supply Company has been your #1 lighting specialist in Washington, from the Space Needle in Seattle all the way to the Riverwalk in Spokane. With the largest lighting inventory in Washington, Pacific Lamp's knowledgeable and experienced staff can assist with any lighting issue, including intricate lighting and control designs. Plus, they work with all utilities in Washington to get you the best available lighting rebates. Pacific Lamp and Supply Company, Washington's lighting experts since 1912. Visit pacificlamp.com.
Are you curious about who offers the best deals on top-rated Samsung, LG, and Sony TVs? The answer is surprising. It's not online, and it's not the warehouse clubs. The best deals on top-rated TVs are at Video Only. Don't believe it? Then check out the trade-in deals at Video Only. How about $500 for your old TV? Try doing that online. Before you buy that new TV, drop into Video Only. If you don't, you'll be sorry.
Can you take the power of your home internet almost anywhere? Well, with Xfinity, you can. Do more of what you love in the places you go the most with internet and mobile together. Xfinity built a network that's 99.99% reliable. Plus, Xfinity Mobile, well, they have Wi-Fi power boost, giving you ultra-fast Wi-Fi at home and out on the go. So get the same reliable network in the places you need it the most. Maybe the coffee shop, the grocery store, or at the game. Whatever you're into, you'll love how fast you can do it with Xfinity internet and mobile. And now through April 21st, get 300 megabit Xfinity internet and one unlimited mobile line together for $25 a month for a year with no contract. And save $1,000 in your first year over Verizon and AT&T Plus. Ask how to get a free premium 5G phone. Visit Xfinity.com, call 1-800-XFINITY or visit a store today. Requires paperless billing and auto pay with stored bank account. Restrictions apply. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra after promo. Regular rates apply. Actual speeds vary. Savings compared to Verizon 5G, Internet Plus One unlimited welcome line, and AT&T Internet 300 Plus One unlimited starter SL line. Xfinity Internet required. Reduced speeds after 30 gigabits of usage per line. Data thresholds and actual savings vary.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today?
My car is making this noise. Sometimes it's like doot doot, and sometimes it's like grrr.
Do you have a dash light on?
Oh yeah.
Then we don't have to listen for clues. With the free Fix Finder service, we can read a check engine, ABS, or maintenance light to find the likely fix and even recommend a local shop if you need one.
So you don't need to hear the grrr.
Not with Fix Finder. Everything you need, nothing you don't.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Did you know your skin is the largest organ of your body?
Huh?
That's why you should shower with Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash instead of plain old bar soap. Love your skin by super hydrating it with vitamin B3 and glorious notes of vanilla and shea. Did you know that my super hydrated skin is the second largest organ of my body? The first is my heart. Old Spice. Men have skin too. Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash. 24/7 renewing moisture. With daily use.
The Mariners are giving you more baseball for your buck. With Mariners Value Games, score seats for as little as $11 on select dates all season long. Plus, check out the expanded Mariners Value menu and beers available every game. Enjoy ballpark classics like hot dogs and nachos for less than $5 and a great selection of brews starting at just $5. Go to mariners.com/value to grab your tickets and check out the full slate of value options at T-Mobile Park.
Subscribe to the Seattle Sports YouTube page to find new and exclusive content from your favorite shows and personalities daily. Just head to YouTube, search Seattle Sports, and click subscribe.
I've always been a super athletic guy, but after I turned 40, I noticed I was slowing down. Instead of hitting the gym after work, I spent my evenings on the couch with a bag of chips. I was gaining weight, losing muscle, and when I did try to work out, I ran out of energy right away. One of my buddies suggested I book a free testosterone check at Revive Health, and that's when I learned that low T doesn't just impact how guys perform in the bedroom. I worked with a provider to create my custom treatment plan, and today I'm feeling stronger than ever. Last week, I even set a new PR at the gym. My only regret is not reaching out sooner.
If you're ready to book your free T-check, visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com or call 206-529-1111. Again, that's 206-529-1111.
Imagine finding your dream home and moving in right away. No waiting to sell your old place first. Sounds perfect, right? That's exactly what Orchard's Move First, Sell Later program lets you do. Buy your new home now and sell the old one later. Here's how it works. Orchard gives you cash so you can buy and move into your new home first on your timeline. No waiting, no showings, no double moves. Then the Orchard experts take it from there. They handle repairs on your old home for you so you attract the right buyers. Once they're done, a local Orchard agent lists and sells your home for top dollar. Orchard's Move First program gives you the freedom to buy and move into your new home first and sell your old home later. Buy before you sell and get top dollar for your home with Orchard. Ready to find out how much your home is worth? Visit Orchard.com to get your free home valuation. That's Orchard.com.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio,
This is Bumpin' Stacy
weekdays 10 to 2.
on Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Get your questions in for what I need to know. 866-979-3776. Curtis, get that Mariners schedule up. Our first question is about that. What I need to know. It's difficult, but with our current situation, what's your best guess as to what the Mariners record will be on this 10-game road trip? 9-game road trip?
10-game road trip.
10-game
It
road
finishes
trip.
a 4-game series against the Astros.
Ooh,
So
potential mop in there.
I think so.
Okay, what's your guess?
I think the Mariners drop this series against the Padres.
Wow.
Hate to say
Okay.
it, I know.
Starting with
I think they win the series, though, against the White Sox. I think they're 3-3 heading into that Astros series. I think the Mariners take 3 of 4 from the
Okay.
Astros, so they go 6-4 on this road
I think
trip.
that's a great road trip.
I would love a 6-4 road trip, honestly, because then you come home and play the Nationals, who aren't particularly good. The Twins, though, they're really good all of a sudden. They've won, I think, 11 in a row, and then that homestand that ends May and starts June, it finishes with 3 against the Orioles, who have been just horrendous this year. So, like, once you get past this road trip, you've got Nationals, bad. Twins, they're all right. Then you've got the Orioles. Then you've got the Angels.
Bad.
You've got some opportunities here to make up some of the ground that you've dropped here with all the injuries.
What I need to know, choosing this question second so that we aren't left with it as a bad taste in our mouth last. What is the worst Seattle sports moment? It's multiple choice. Number 1 seeded Sonics losing to the number 8 Nuggets in round 1 of the playoffs in 94. The Seahawks losing to the Patriots in Super Bowl 49. Or the Mariners losing to the Yankees in the ALCS back in 01.
It's Super Bowl 49
It's Super Bowl 49.
without a doubt. Yeah, I mean, it's Super Bowl 49, then it's everything else.
I know that this is the one that I have the clearest memory of. I was obviously an adult, which I was not for the other two. But I also think that one people still make jokes about it.
It took the collective wind out of, like, the Seattle sports scene for quite a while.
Take a random, and let's say that they're old enough to understand this. Pull a 38-year-old sports fan from Montana and ask him, how did the Seahawks lose to the Patriots? Or what can you tell me about Super Bowl 49? And he'll know.
Right.
If you say, tell me about the Mariners losing to the Yankees in the ALCS back in 2001, he'll know that it's a 116-win season, but, like, that stuck with people. That was a cultural moment in a horrible way. Being on the bad side of a cultural moment or a famous sports moment is a bummer, I've learned.
My one lasting memory of the 2001 ALCS was after falling down 0-2 in that series. Lou Piniella said in his post-game press conference along the line, we're going to be back here for Game 6. You mark my words. We're going to be back here for Game 6. Series ended in 5 games.
His Matt Hasselbeck moment.
Yeah.
Granted, that one came much later. What I need to know. If I started a competing sports talk radio station and offered, we were talking about Juan Soto, and offered Matt $700 million to produce it, would you boo him every time you saw him?
Yes. I'd boo him for free.
I'd boo him. I would pay to boo Matt, and we already boo him all the time now. But yes.
$700 million to produce?
Absolutely.
Oh, man.
Those boos are going to be so loud. So loud. And they know it matters for Soto, too. They rested him before this series.
$700 million to produce a sports talk radio station. I don't know what kind of budget you're working with, but that is not how salaries work in this
Someone's
industry.
asking us if we're on drugs. It's the 2001 Mariners by a long shot. Most wins in MLB season.
No.
I mentioned them clearly 116. Everyone knows that.
It's
Stop
not
the
even
baseball
baseball hate. It's you were a play away from winning a championship.
The context of how Super Bowl 49
happened. You were a yard
happened.
away from winning a championship.
And it was just the memories of it. I mean, maybe, okay, here's the thing. This is entirely subjective. There is no right answer. It's sports. Clearly for you, 253, it's the 2001 Mariners. But we're not talking about in a World Series even.
No, they made
It's
the
ALCS.
Yeah.
We're talking about in the Super Bowl, you had it in your hands and you dropped it.
You could have.
By choosing to pass it.
You could have easily won that thing.
I'm sorry. The answer to me is Super Bowl 49. I don't think it's that close.
Yeah.
No, neither does Curtis. Mitch and Tacoma. Also, back-to-back Super Bowls, you were a yard away.
Yeah.
Instead, Kansas City becomes the first team since the Patriots to do it. The Patriots became, right? Then Kansas City?
Patriots.
I think they had one in between there.
No, they'd won 3 in a 5-year stretch. It was the
I know the Patriots were there was that gap.
04 Patriots that won it back to back.
Did the Patriots do it again, or was it not until Kansas City?
It was not until Kansas City.
Okay.
Fred in Birch Bay says, my gravestone will say should have given it to Marshawn.
Thank you, Fred, and same.
425. It's 2014 Seahawks, and anyone that doesn't think so is on drugs. Yeah. It's not even close.
What I need to know. Let's see. When making your bed, do you have the opening of the pillowcase on the outside or inside of the bed? The answer is the inside.
Wow, the answer is the outside.
No. When you think of how your bed should look when it's made, perfectly made, it should be, if you have the opening of the pillowcase on the inside of the pillow, you can hide it.
No.
What do you mean no? You can. That's just a fact.
The pillowcase goes on the outside because I say so, and I don't like the pillowcase being on the inside.
There's no difference.
There is. It just, I like it that way. That's how it feels right to me.
Okay.
That the pillowcase, opening goes on the outside.
While I just chastised.
Brenna agrees with me because her pillow is the exact same way.
While I just made fun of a listener and said there's no right answer. Unfortunately, there is in this case. And the right answer is that the opening of the pillowcase goes on the inside so that when you're walking in your room and when you're looking at your bed, you don't have the white pillow peeking through the pillowcase. This is just...
206 is the outside with like 6 exclamations.
No. Okay, 425 absolutely should be to the inside.
Yeah, what is a 425 now? 206 says they have zipper pillowcases.
Okay, yeah, the correct answer should be the ones that like wrap all the way around.
253 outside is the only correct answer.
No, you guys are insane.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm moving on. I'm ending this segment. See if I have time for one more very quickly here. What I need to know, the best sports movie actor. I had this one saved that I forgot to get to.
It's not my personal favorite, but I think Kevin Costner, his resume is unmatched. Yes. Bull Durham, Field of Dreams.
I think it just is Kevin Costner.
And For the Love of the Game, I think, right?
I think we can all co-sign that one. Wyman and Bob coming your way next.
Wyman and Bob, afternoons 2 to 7.
For some people that are just committed to being mad at the team or they stink, you just wait. You know, they're desperate to be right about them not being good. So this was their first chance to go, see? Yeah, there's the real team. I'm like, so the real team is the one we saw in these 3 games and not the previous 9 series.
Dave Wyman and Bob Stelton, afternoons 2 to 7 on Seattle Sports, the app, YouTube, and your smart speaker.
Hey, Brock Ewart here, along with IRG Physical and Hand Therapy President and CEO Shannon O'Kelly. The weather is warming. The sports are moving outdoors, Shannon. Maybe time to take care of that lawn and pull the old lawnmower out. Is it a time where you get a little busier as the weather warms?
Oh, absolutely, Brock. You know, what we know, particularly in the Puget Sound, you know, we have these cold, wet winters. The weather changes, the sun comes out, and everybody wants to rush outside and do things. And I'm telling you, that's great, but you got to take time, listen to your body. You got to prepare your body for those activities. You don't want to go too fast, too soon. So warm up, stretch, make sure you have flexibility, a little bit of conditioning, because if you're conditioned and ready and prepared, those activities outside are going to be so much funner, if that makes sense. You're an athlete yourself, Brock. You know how important warming up is.
Oh, I like funner. I think they would tell you more fun, but I kind of like funner, and that's exactly what IRG is. For more info or to book your appointment today, simply go to irgpt.com. Remember, that's irgpt.com.
Mike Rowe here with a quick question. Have you noticed cracks in your drywall, chimney, or exterior walls? I hope not, because if you have, they could be indications that you've got a much bigger problem with your foundation. That's where Groundworks comes in. They can honestly assess your situation and create a plan to stabilize your foundation. Schedule your free inspection at groundworks.com/row. And while you're there, check out my latest dirty job. It's a good one.
Licensed in all states where work is performed. See website for details.
Get ready for an unforgettable adventure at LeMay, America's car museum in Tacoma. Marvel at over 300 world-class automobiles and 100 years of history. Don't miss the Shinka exhibit, featuring nearly 50 iconic Japanese sports cars. Feel the thrill of driving a Formula One car on the exhilarating race simulators. There's fun for everyone, so grab your friends or the whole family and plan your visit Thursday to Monday. Learn more at americascarmuseum.org.
Here at the Almond Joy Factory, where tropical vibes abound, we use soft, fresh-tasting coconut.
The crunchiest almonds and delicious chocolate candy.
Ah, but do you know what our most important ingredient is? Sometimes you feel like a nut.
Sometimes you don't.
Almond Joy's got nuts and something even way better than that. Yes, Almond Joy is made with almonds and joy.
What was that? That is business phone bliss with the Ooma Cloud phone system. It handles all our voice, video, and messaging needs.
You sound very
calm. I am. Ooma has everything I need to run my business more efficiently, like virtual receptionist, call routing, and video conferencing. And it starts at just $19.95 per month per user, plus taxes and fees.
Ooma.
Nice. Find your business comm at ooma.com/radio.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today?
My car is making this noise. Sometimes it's like doot, 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 and sometimes it's like grrr.
Do you have a dash light on?
Oh, yeah.
Then we don't have to listen for clues. With the free Fix Finder service, we can read a check engine, ABS, or maintenance light to find the likely fix and even recommend a local shop if you need one.
So you don't need to hear the grrr.
Not with Fix Finder. Everything you need, nothing you don't.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Get ready for Camping World's Red, White, and New Trade event, May 15th through the 18th. Get the highest value for your RV guaranteed during the biggest RV trade event of the year. Shop the best RV deals in America with new RVs starting as low as $92 a month. Get ready for the holiday weekend with up to 45% off grills and 25% off product installation. Plus, we'll have free hats, free propane refills, free food, and fun for the whole family. Don't miss the incredible Red, White, and New Trade event, May 15th through the 18th at your local Camping World.
See for full details and disclaimer.
They say no two people learn the exact same way. So how did Babbel become the award-winning language learning app with over 16 million subscriptions sold? Well, we thought of you. All of you. Take Sierra. She's an artist and absolutely a visual learner. She's doing a deep dive into our Babbel wordplay videos.
Today I'll share a quick lesson on shopping in French.
Merci beaucoup. Malcolm is very much a type A, say it to my face, listening learner. So he checks with Babbel's speech recognition to make sure that accent.
Précio.
Keith's a real people person and a curious learner, so he loves Babbel's Culture Bites, full of insights and native knowledge about the language he's learning. Like, what's served for Christmas dinner in Germany?
Glühwein, Weihnachtsgans und Christmasstollen.
Wherever you are, however you learn, Babbel is the best choice to break any language barrier. Save up to 50%